Welcome to our channel. We worked very hard for 1 week to create this video for our sweet people. We need 1 subscriber and 1 like for appreciation. Imagine living a life unaffected by the chaos of the world, resistant to the urban flow of fortune, and strong enough to withstand the difficulties that life will surely bring your way. It sounds like an impossible dream, doesn't it? Would you believe me if I told you that the key to that kind of life has been around for thousands of years, just waiting for you to find it? Welcome to a very special video, a complete guide to the world of Stoicism. We are frequently carried away by the waves of emotions, distractions, and worldly desires in our chaotic modern lives, which are often accompanied by noise and hurry. Stoicism offers a way to find inner peace, self-control, and mental toughness. It is firm and immovable, like a rock. Mastering the art of letting go is the first thing we need to do on this road. You will learn not only how to tell the difference between things you can control and things you can't, but also how to let go of the things you can't control. We can clear out our inner and outer worlds through Stoicism and minimalism, making room for more meaningful activities. Making room in our lives for what really counts is the first step. The next step is to strengthen our willpower. Building self-discipline is the Stoic way to become great. It's about developing values, controlling your urges, and living a life that doesn't follow society's ever-changing whims, but instead follows unchanging principles that make you happy. Now that we are focused, we face the problems in life head-on. That's where the mind that can't be broken comes in. We're going to talk about 10 strong lessons that will give you the mental toughness you need to get through life's big waves. Being optimistic isn't the point. The point is to build strong mental models that help you stay strong when things go wrong. Last but not least, get ready to free your mind. You will learn 10 life-changing lessons from Stoicism that will help you break free from the limits you put on yourself. You can take control of your emotions and actions and drastically improve the quality of your life. If you know how to pull the right mental buttons, you can become impervious to the chaos of the outside world by following the Stoic advice we'll discuss today. It gives you a peace and happiness that nothing outside of yourself can take away. It's a trip to learn the art of living a life full of virtue, knowledge, and unbreakable strength. Now take a deep breath. Prepare to learn. Feel more confident and gain freedom as we explore the modern-day Stoics' knowledge. What if you woke up in a peaceful place where everything you own has a place and a purpose? Your heart is happy and your mind is clear. You know that the only things you can control are your thoughts and deeds, so you can face the storms of life with a strong heart. It's not impossible to reach these seemingly impossible goals. In fact, the way to a meaningful life is at the heart of both minimalism and Stoicism, 2 philosophies that were created hundreds of years apart. Welcome to Minimalism and Stoicism, letting go for a meaningful life. In this video, we'll start a journey that will help you find a life that you not only live, but also love. First, let's talk about the growing modern minimalist. Trend minimalism is more than just a style. It's a way of life. It's about getting rid of the things that aren't important, the junk that makes our thoughts and places heavy, and focused on the things that make our lives better. Minimalism started as an art trend that emphasized realism and simplicity in the middle of the 20th century. It slowly crept into many areas of culture, such as music, building, and way of life. People are turning to minimalism to get back their time, space, and focus. They are discovering that getting rid of the physical mess helps them build relationships, follow their hobbies, and enjoy a level of depth that material things can't provide. Now let's go back in time to the busy streets of ancient Athens, where Stoicism first appeared around the 3rd century BC. Like minimalism, Stoicism is about making things simpler, but its main focus is on making things simpler inside. The philosophy teaches that the best way to live a happy life is to build self-control, logic, and ethics. Stoicism helps people figure out what they can control and what they can't. It encourages people to focus on what they can control and let go of what they can't. Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epicurus, 3 Stoic philosophers, taught us that what makes us happy is not what is happening around us, but rather our perceptions and responses to it. Letting go is what connects minimalism and Stoicism. Minimalism tells us to get rid of unnecessary things in our bodies, and Stoicism teaches us how to let go of mental loads. and ties. Both philosophies are based on the idea that there is freedom in simplicity and separation, which means freedom to live a meaningful, happy life. We will learn a lot about the subtleties of both minimalism and Stoicism in this film. We'll talk about where they came from, what they stand for, and how they can improve people's lives. We will also talk about how to apply these philosophies to our everyday lives and compare and contrast them. For example, case studies and anecdotes will show us how these ideas have changed the lives of real people. Finally, we will talk about what we have learned and encourage you to start using parts of minimalism and Stoicism that work for you. As we begin this illuminating trip through the worlds of minimalism and Stoicism, get ready to have your ideas about what it means to live a fulfilling life. Challenged to live a meaningful life. You need to plan ahead. Be good and be brave enough to let go of what isn't important. Let's go down this road together. Now let's get into the first part of our conversation, which is about what minimalism is. The minimalist movement as we know it today did not start by itself like many other art forms that came out in the late 1950s and early 1960s. It has its roots in music and visual arts. It was not thought that art had to be complicated in order to be meaningful. So these types of art focused on using simple things as time went on. This idea changed into living minimum ISM. People started to question the consumerist culture that ruled society in the early 2000s, which is when minimalism became popular. As a way of life, they wanted a life that was less complicated and more meaningful, without all the things that come with it. This is where the modern minimalist movement got its start. It's a reaction to the excesses of capitalism and the search for happiness. Beyond material wealth, the fundamental principles that underpin minimalism will now be discussed in greater detail. To begin with, minimalism is all about making things easier. It means getting rid of the extra, the pointless and the annoying things, so that you can focus on what really counts. This could mean getting rid of junk in your house, making your schedule more manageable, or even cutting back on social media. Making a space in your mind and body that shows your values. Priorities is what it's all about. This is the second core principle. Being mindful. Making choices about what to keep and what to let go of is an important part of minimalism. It's not just about getting rid of things. Does this add value to my life? Does this align with my goals and values? Is what intentionality means. It means living with a purpose instead of just sliding through life. It's about making decisions that show what kind of life you want to live in. The third aspect. Quality is more important than number. People in a consumerist culture are often told that more is better. This idea is questioned by minimalism. Less isn't better just for the sake of less. It's about having the right things instead of collecting a bunch of useless things. It's better to put your money into good things and relationships that will last. Let's look at the many advantages of leading a simple lifestyle while keeping these principles in mind. To begin, minimalism can help you think more clearly. Getting rid of trash and other things that get in the way can help us concentrate and be creative. Not having to deal with the chaos around us frees up our minds to think more clearly and make better choices. Financial freedom is another huge gain. By planning what we buy and putting quality over number, we can cut down on spending a lot that isn't necessary. There may be savings, less debt, and the ability to spend money on meaningful activities and hobbies. The environmental impact of minimalism is also favorable. Our carbon impact gets smaller when we use less. Making and throwing away things are two of the main things that hurt the earth. We are not only making our own lives better when we choose to live with less and make decisions that are good for the world. When we do so, as with any trend though, minimalism has its share of bad press and misunderstandings. One complaint that is often made is that being able to choose to live with less is a luxury that not everyone can enjoy. Some people also say that minimalism can turn into another form of consumerism, if people keep buying new minimalist things to replace the ones they already have. Some people also think that minimalism means living with very little, or that it's an answer that works for everyone. It's important to remember that minimalism is not a rule but a tool. This is a way to make a life that fits your values and priorities and can be changed to fit your needs and tastes. Although these complaints are important to look at, it is important to remember that minimalism is not a goal. Instead, it is a process of self-discovery and purpose. It's not a rigid set of rules but a philosophy that can be changed to fit different wants and ways of life. Minimalism doesn't expect us to be perfect. Instead, it pushes us to make progress and be aware of the choices we make. In the same way, minimalism shouldn't just be seen as an advantage. The core principles of purpose and focusing on quality over number can be motivating for people from all social groups, even though some parts of minimalism may be easier to adopt for those in a more stable financial situation. It can be about making the most of what you have and being happy with simplicity. No matter how many things you have, to clear up the false idea that minimalism means living a simple or poor life. It is also important to note that minimalism is not always about having a certain number of things. Finding what is meaningful and getting rid of what isn't is what it's all about. For some, this could mean a home with only the things they need, while for others it could mean a carefully chosen collection of things that make them happy and serve a purpose. Thanks a lot. The philosophy of minimalism is deep and alive, and it's more than just getting rid of stuff. It's about making a life with meaning, purpose, and happiness by focusing on quality, simplifying, and making smart choices. Minimalism helps people get clear on their thoughts, be financially free, and protect the earth. But like any philosophy, it has its critics and people who get it wrong. You should go into minimalism with an open mind, knowing that it is a tool that can be used in many ways to create a meaningful life. As the movie goes on, we look into the old knowledge of Stoic philosophy and see how, like minimalism, it can help us let go of the extra in our lives. Both outside and inside our discussion will focus on the similarities and differences between these two philosophies, as well as how they can be used together to make our lives more fulfilling. Stay tuned as we go on a trip through time and thought, pulling apart the threads of Stoicism and minimalism and stitching them into a fabric of happiness, purpose, and purpose. This is a call to rise to a life that is lived with awareness, integrity, and meaning, not just to purge or to be stoic in the face of hardship. May this trip make you think, question, and open up to the endless possibilities that lie in the simplicity and wisdom of Stoicism and minimalism. As we leave the modern rooms of minimalism, let us go back in time to the world of ancient times where Stoicism began. Stoicism is a school of Greek philosophy that began in Athens in the early 3rd century BC. The Stoic philosophy was founded by Xenophon of Citium, who taught from the Stoa Poil, a painted porch. Then in ancient Rome, Stoicism became very popular and was one of the most important philosophies during the Roman Empire. Seneca Epicus and Marcus Aurelius are the three most important people in Stoic philosophy in his letters and writings. Seneca, a Roman politician and writer, talks about how Stoic ideas can be used in everyday life. Epicus, a famous Stoic teacher, was born as a slave in what is now Turkey. His Ideon and Discourses are important works that provide useful tips on living a good life. Last but not least, Marcus Aurelius, who was emperor of Rome, is sometimes called the philosopher king. His meditations, which he wrote while he was in the army, show what he really thought about right and wrong, duty, and the meaning of life. The first of the Stoic principles that claims our attention is reason. To the Stoics, reasoning and reason were the most important things in the world. They stressed the importance of using logic to understand and get around in the world. People thought that this logical way of thinking would lead to virtue and peace, because it let people make choices that were in line with nature and morality. The second idea is that you can control how responses happen. For Stoics, there's a clear line between what we can control and what we can't. We have complete control over our ideas, perceptions, and deeds, but we cannot influence the outside world. We can stay calm in tough situations by focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we can't. The third principle is to seek virtue as the best thing that can happen. Stoic virtue includes knowledge, bravery, justice, and temperance. In addition to moral goodness, they thought that the key to happiness and satisfaction was to live a good life that was in tune with reason and nature. So how can this old philosophy help us deal with problems? Stoicism teaches us to separate ourselves from the chaos. and look at things objectively through the lens of reason. When we are confronted with difficulties by doing this, we can keep our emotions from getting in the way of our decisions and act in a way that is consistent with our values. It tells us to look at problems not as bad things that happen, but as chances to learn and grow. Let's jump ahead to the present day. Even though it's an old philosophy, its ideas are still relevant today. Stoicism gives us a way to find our way through the storms in a world that is becoming more unstable and unsure. Cognitive behavioral therapy is a popular way to help mental health problems. Its focus on reason and control over responses is similar to this theory. Leaders in the business world are also using Stoic principles to make smart choices and build resilience in their teams. This philosophy gives people who are interested in personal growth tools they can use to strengthen their minds and live purposeful, honest lives. Practices like writing, awareness, and self-reflection that encourage living in line with one's values are becoming part of everyday life. Stoicism is a philosophy that dates back to old Greece and Rome. It enables people to lead lives of happiness and moral integrity, thanks to its central principles of reason, control over responses, and desire of virtue. It can be used as a guide in a world that is always changing, from the lessons of Seneca Epicus and Marcus Aurelius to current psychology and leadership. As we learn more about Stoicism, it's important to remember that it's more than just a set of logical thoughts. It's a call to action. The message tells us to develop a smart and good mind, to know what we can control and let go of what we can't, and to see problems as chances to grow as people. This is a call to live wisely as well as with thought. After going into great detail about Stoic philosophy, we now come to an interesting point where minimalism and Stoicism meet. Although they came about at different times and in different situations, both philosophies are based on the idea of letting go. Letting go of things that are too much, whether they are material things or mental constructs, and finding a life that is meaningful, happy, and in line with our values. In the next sections, we'll look at how these two philosophies work together and how they differ, as well as how they can be used in our daily lives. We will talk about how the knowledge and virtue of Stoicism can be added to the purpose and simplicity of minimalism. These philosophies can work together to create a strong foundation for a life that is not only clear and strong, but also deeply meaningful, with an open mind and a desire to learn. Let us start this journey of discovery. We should be ready to question our beliefs, break out of old habits, and accept new ways of doing things. The ideas of minimalism and Stoicism invite us to go on a trip that is both about letting go and finding out what is really important. To hold on to this journey isn't just about ideas, it's also very emotional. We are all being asked to think about the choices we are making, the lives we are living, and the values we are supporting. It's a call to let go of what's extra and choose what's important, to stop the noise and choose knowledge, to let go of what's temporary and choose what will last forever together. Let us follow the path of minimalism and Stoicism to a life that is not just lived but loved, not just endured but honored, and not just short but meaningful. At one point, Stoicism and minimalism stand next to each other as we walk the road of discovery, though they came out hundreds of years apart. These two strong philosophies have a lot in common as well as clear differences. Now let's take a close look at the tapestry they've made. Let's start with what they have in common in the first place. Both stress the importance of seeking simplicity and focus. Minimalism tells us to make our lives easier by getting rid of unnecessary things and clearing out our places when it comes to our inner lives. Stoicism tells us to keep things simple by being reasonable and focused on what we can control. In both philosophies, we are told to get rid of what isn't important so that we can focus on what does. The second thing they have in common is getting rid of extra. In the philosophy of minimalism, this means getting rid of things that don't make our lives better. Stoicism is about letting go of excessive desires, emotions, and ties that obstruct our pursuit of virtue and cloud our judgment. Both philosophies agree that too much, whether it's physical waste or mental chaos, can get in the way of living a happy life. The third thing they have in common is that they both stress being happy. Inside, the idea of minimalism teaches us that happiness doesn't come from having more things but from living a life with meaning. Stoicism, on the other hand, holds that happiness comes from living in harmony with nature and reason, not from receiving praise or money from other people. So let's look at the things that are different. The first difference is how they fit into history and culture. Modern minimalism grew out of a reaction against consumerism and having too many things. It was mostly popular in the Western world, but Stoicism comes from old Greece and Rome. It was an intellectual reaction to people's search for happiness and virtue in a world that was full of chaos. What's different about the second one is its reach and use. Minimalism is mostly about the real parts of our lives. It tells us to clear out our places and think about what we buy. Stoicism, on the other hand, looks at our internal ideas, emotions, and character, in addition to our outward situations. The third difference is in what drives each person. A lot of people who are minimalists want to make their lives more open, free, and sharp. It's about taking care of your surroundings. However, Stoicism has its roots in moral philosophy. It's about taking care of your soul and spirit. The Stoic is driven by a sense of duty to live in a way that is in line with reason and nature. When we think about these ways, the philosophies are alike and different. We can see that they are like two sides of the same coin. They both show us how to live a simple, focused, and happy life. But they do it in different ways and with different tools. If you will think of minimalism as a way to get around in the real world by clearing out our areas and narrowing our actions, Stoicism is the guidance that helps us manage our thoughts, emotions, and character with virtue and knowledge as we travel through the internal seas. They work well together to make something powerful. Adding the focus and simplicity of minimalism to the wisdom and virtue of Stoicism can help us make a life that is not only clear and focused, but also deeply meaningful and in line with our greatest values. Not only should we pick one philosophy, but we should pick both. Let's instead see them both as helpful guides that work together. The guide of Stoicism will keep us on a path that is true to who we are and what we value. Let minimalism be the ship that moves us forward. Let's take a moment to think about this. Take a moment to think about the places we live and the things we keep around us. Are they useful, or are they just extra stuff? Now look inside yourself. Consider our words, feelings, and deeds. Are they in line with our values, or are they all over the place? Let's take with us the core of Stoicism's call to knowledge and minimalism's call to simplicity as we move forward. Let's be like builders and carefully plan a life that meets our deepest needs for meaning and happiness. Even though the two philosophies come from different places and have different goals, they both aim to help us live a life that is simple and full of what's important. Minimalism tells us to clean up the outside world, and Stoicism pushes us to control the inside world. We discover a road that leads not only to simplicity or knowledge, but also to a life that is deeply meaningful in their convergence. As we stand at the intersection of these two philosophies, we have the power and the tools to shape our journey. It will be as unique as each of us, but it will be focused on the goal of a more meaningful and happy life. It's not always easy to go on this trip. Sometimes you have to be brave and let go. Each step we take on this road, though, weaves together threads of simplicity, knowledge, purpose, and happiness to make a fabric. Let's take the flames of Stoicism and minimalism with us as we enter the world of practical application with open hearts and minds. Let us learn more about these old philosophies, combine their ideas, and live by their lessons. Let us keep moving forward by being thankful for the knowledge that has been passed down through the years, and for the chance to make it a part of our lives. The actual application of these philosophies will be covered in the following section. We will talk about ways to incorporate Stoicism and minimalism into your daily life, creating a fabric that is not only straightforward and wise, but also deeply meaningful. Thanks a lot. The merging of these philosophies into our daily lives is a crucial step on our journey as we make our way through the rich fabric that is minimalism and Stoicism. Here is where the theory turns into practice and where we take the first steps toward living a more meaningful life. Let's get started by talking about how to put simple principles into practice in real life. First, clean up your actual room. Take a look at what you own and ask yourself if it serves a purpose or makes you happy. If not, you might want to let them go. You can take your time with this. Start with one room, or even just one box, and work your way up. Second, be aware of what you're consuming. Think about whether the thing is important and in line with your values before you buy it. You can use this way of thinking in other areas of your life, like partnerships and responsibilities. Last but not least, put quality over number. Spend money on things and people that will make your life better. This doesn't always mean spending money. It could also mean giving time and care. Now let's talk about how to use Stoic philosophy to make choices and deal with situations to start work on the duality of control. Know what you can control and what you can't. Events outside of your control are out of your hands, but you can choose how to respond and what to do when you're facing a problem. Ask yourself what you can control and put your attention on those second. Think about your values and make choices based on them. Stoicism tells us that being good is the best thing that can happen. Choose to act in a way that is honest, trustworthy, and caring. Lastly, regularly practice being aware and thinking about yourself. Take some time to think about the things you did, the choices you made, and the emotions you experienced. This practice helps you become more logical and emotionally strong. How can we find a balance between Stoicism and minimalism? For our own growth, all of this must work together. Stimulate your surroundings with minimalism to support your values and goals, and train your mind to be strong, focused, and good with Stoicism. It's also important to know that Stoicism and minimalism are not either-or ways of thinking. They are flexible and can be changed to fit your needs and goals. Be steady. Take small steps and be ready to change how you do things as you learn and grow. Here are some examples of real people who have combined the two philosophies to help you understand what I mean. Take a look at the story of Joshua Fields, Mill Milburn, and Ryan Nicodemus, who are known as the minimalists. Their business jobs were full of stuff, but didn't give them any meaning. So they both quit. They made their lives easier and more in line with their values by focusing on what they could control and following the principles of Stoicism through minimalism. Another example is businessman and author Tim Ferriss, who has been very open about how Stoicism has changed his life and the way he makes decisions. He has also turned to minimalism, focused on the most important things and people in his life that are in line with his values. Combining Stoicism and minimalism can be a great way to grow as a person and live a more meaningful life by making our outside world simpler through minimalism and strengthening our minds with Stoicism. We can create a life that is not only free of clutter, but also full of meaning and happiness. As we come to the end of this part, I want you to take a moment to think about what you like about both Stoicism and minimalism. You should think about how you can apply these principles to your own life and how they can help you grow and be happy. Let's keep going down this path together, taking in the knowledge and usefulness that Stoicism and minimalism have to offer. These philosophies can make our lives better, help us let go of the EXT, and give us a deep sense of meaning. Let's look at some of them before we go any further, though. Let's be honest, the path to combining minimalism and Stoicism can be very beneficial. There are some problems along the way, and we have to work hard, be committed, and sometimes be ready to leave our comfort zones. It's also important to remember that blending is not a goal, but a path of growth and change that never ends. The way we understand, stand, and use these philosophies will change and grow as we do. There is no one-size-fits-all solution, and we will never reach the state of minimalism or Stoicism. They are with us on our lifelong path to becoming fully human. As we go along this road, let's remember to be kind and patient with ourselves. It takes time to make changes, especially ones that affect how we live and think. We will trip and fall sometimes, and that's okay. The important thing is that we get back up, learn from these mistakes, and move forward with more energy and focus. We are not going on this trip by ourselves. An enormous number of people have gone down similar roads, combining minimalism and Stoicism in their search for a more meaningful life. We can learn from their mistakes and be inspired by their stories. It can also comfort us to know that we are not the only ones looking for meaning and happiness. Thank you. As we continue to explore, let's go across time and countries to learn more about the complex philosophies and religions of the East, with its thousands of years of history and thought. The East has a lot to offer people who want to live a meaningful life. It's interesting that Stoicism and minimalism are related in a number of ways. Let's look into these lovely similarities and see how they can make our lives better. Buddhism. The middle way is one of the most important ideas in Buddhism. This idea supports a road of balance and staying away from extremes, which is a lot like minimalism. According to the middle way, we can live a healthy life that is good for our spiritual growth. If we don't indulge in either excess or frugality, the Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path, which are also part of Buddhism, are instructions for living without ties, which is a concept that fits with Stoic principles. The Four Noble Truths describe human pain and what causes it. The Noble Eightfold Path, on the other hand, gives advice on how to stop suffering through right behavior, right motivation, and right awareness. When we talk about awareness, Buddhism has a long history of focusing on the present moment and meditating and helping people focus on the current moment. And what really counts, these techniques are consistent with Stoic awareness. Focusing on our inner selves and letting go of fleeting emotions are two benefits of meditation. Let's talk about the Tao and Woi when we talk about Taoism. Following the principles of simplicity, naturalness, and non-action is important in Taoism, which is similar to minimalism. Woi means not acting or not doing it. Doesn't mean not acting, but rather acting in a way that is in line with the natural flow of things. It's about doing things without thinking and living a simple life. Yin and Yang are also important in Taoism. They stand for balance and unity in nature and taste thinking. This balance is very important. It is also similar to minimalism and Stoicism, which also try to find balance in one's life. And emotions living in harmony with nature is another component. Following Taoism means living in harmony with the Tao, which is the basic idea that makes everything possible. The Stoic concept of living in harmony with nature to achieve virtue and happiness is very similar to this idea. Hinduism is another old faith in the East that talks a lot about Dharma, and being simple moral responsibility is another name for Dharma. It is a way where focus and simplicity are very important. Following your Dharma means living a moral and purposeful life, which is similar to the focus of minimalists on being thoughtful. Non-attachment is also important in Hindu philosophy. The idea behind this, which is related to Stoic detachment, tells people not to let their material belongings or fleeting emotions hold them back in Hinduism. Yoga and meditation are not just physical activities. They are also ways to find out more about yourself and match your inner ideals. This is a lot like Stoic self-reflection and getting in line with what is good and reasonable. Confucianism. Finally, let us talk about Confucianism, which has a big impact on Eastern thought. Following the principles of minimalism, Confucianism's doctrine of the mean promotes balance and simplicity. Ren, which means kindness, and Li, which means rituals, and right behavior are also very important in Confucianism, in line with Stoic values. These ideas are about moral qualities and how to act in public. Confucianism also stresses the value of relationships and getting along with others. This shows how important it is for Stoics to be involved in their communities and know that they are part of a bigger whole. Finally, both minimalism and Stoicism have a lot in common with Eastern religions and philosophies. Mindfulness, balance, and not being attached are Eastern ideas that can be found in the principles of minimalism and Stoicism. We can focus on what is important for a happy life by following the advice of both Eastern and Western philosophies. Eastern thought is especially helpful because it focuses on personal growth, getting along with others, and how everything is linked. The lessons can be a great source of knowledge for anyone who wants to live a happier, more meaningful life. As we've seen, minimalism asks us to pare down our material possessions and put more emphasis on quality than number in our lives. Being logical, controlling our emotions, and seeing honor as the best thing is what Stoicism teaches us. Eastern philosophies, with their wide range of beliefs, can teach us a lot about how to live in balance with ourselves and with nature. As you go about your daily life, think about how you could combine these philosophies. For example, you could follow the awareness techniques of Buddhism, the easy action of Taoism's Wu Wei, the moral guide of Hindu Dharma, or the social ideals of Confucianism. Put these together with the simplicity of minimalism, and the sense that makes sense of Stoicism. Let's not think of these philosophies as different from one another, but rather as colors that go well together on a canvas that we can use to paint our lives. Getting ideas from both the East and the West can help people of all ages and countries understand and learn from each other. You can find a lot of examples in real life to help you understand. Many people go about their lives without getting much attention. They live simple, good, and balanced lives. They are happy and satisfied, not because they have a lot, but because they know what's important. It's not a goal to reach this unification, it's a process. Remember what Lao Tzu said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. This information can be that step for you. Take what the East and West have to say, and find your middle ground by simplifying, rationalizing, harmonizing, and finding your way. It might not always be easy to follow this path. You might have to make compromises and tough decisions. But in the end, it gives us something priceless. A life with meaning, happiness, and a strong bond with the world around us. Now that our trip through minimalism, Stoicism, and Eastern philosophies is over, let's take a moment to think about the rich fabric of knowledge we've shown you. We started off by learning about the history of minimalism and its main principles, which are to keep things simple, be purposeful, and put quality before number. We talked about the problems and misunderstandings about living a frugal lifestyle, and also found the many benefits such as mental clarity, financial freedom, and protecting the environment. We went back in time and learned more about the deepest parts of Stoic philosophy, which comes from Greece and Rome in the Old World. We learned from Stoicism how important it is to be logical, to be able to control our emotions, and to see virtue as the greatest good. We looked at how Stoicism helps people deal with problems and how it is still useful today by reading the writings of philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Epicus. The next stop on our trip was the place where minimalism and Stoicism meet. We saw a strong link between them in their search for simplicity, focus, and inner peace. But we also saw differences in their historical background, scope, and main goals. We talked about how these different philosophies can help us live a more meaningful life by cutting down on the unnecessary things in our lives. In addition, we talked about how to use minimalism and Stoicism in our everyday lives. We talked about how we can organize not only our real places, but also our minds by following simple principles. We also talked about how to use the Stoic philosophy to help us make decisions and deal with the things that happen around us. We saw cases of people in real life who have used both philosophies together to improve themselves. Our journey didn't end there. It got bigger. As we crossed the ocean to the eastern shores, we took a look at some of the many Eastern faiths and philosophies that have things in common with minimalism and Stoicism. We found many beliefs that fit with minimalism and Stoicism, such as the middle way in Buddhism, Tao, and Wo in Taoism, Dharma in Hinduism, and the doctrine of the mean in Confucianism. Please don't let this be the end of your study. Instead, let it be the start. Think about how you can use the lessons you've learned from Stoicism and minimalism in your everyday life. Try out different things to see what works for you, and don't be afraid to change them to fit your needs. Different people have different ideas about how to live a meaningful and happy life. There isn't a single answer that works for everyone. You have to keep learning, unlearning, and learning again. It's a garden where seeds of knowledge from various philosophies can be planted, and with care and nurturing they can grow into a life that is fulfilling and in line with one's values and ideals. It is very important to realize that the things we buy, the praise we get, and the social standards we use to judge our own progress are all temporary. The happiness and satisfaction that come from living a life based on simplicity, virtue, and purpose are what last. Finally, let's carry on the knowledge that has been passed down for thousands of years. Let's carry the torch and light the way for each other and ourselves, explore the world and learn new things, but most of all, look for value as you go forward. May your life be like a well-written book where the depth of its writing is more important than its size. May the ideas of minimalism, Stoicism, and Eastern philosophies fill every page of your life with meaning, happiness, and satisfaction, as the great philosopher Seneca once said. As long as you live, keep learning how to live. Let's keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep moving through life with virtue as our anchor and knowledge as our guide. Thanks for coming along with me on this trip. Your way should be clear and your heart should lead you to a life that is meaningful and full of happiness. Marcus Aurelius is one of the few people in history who has had such a life-lasting impact on philosophy and leadership as Emperor of Rome and a devoted follower of Stoicism. His life was a living example of self-discipline and strength. Today we'll examine his philosophies in greater detail. Look at how he taught and showed self-discipline throughout his life, and find practical ways to incorporate his lessons into our own lives. Today, Stoicism is based on the ideas of a school of philosophy that starts in ancient Greece and grows during the time of the Roman Empire because of what Marcus Aurelius wrote and taught. Stoicism became very famous. Epicus and Zeno of Chium, two early Stoic philosophers, made important additions to what we know about Stoic philosophy as a philosophy. Stoicism stresses the importance of self-discipline, personal virtue and strength. It offers a way to deal with life problems, handle and control emotions, and find peace in the middle of chaos in the outside world. The Stoics think that we have full control over our own thoughts, deeds, and emotions, but not over the things that happen around us. The Stoic philosophy gives us a deep understanding of what it means to be human, and how we are connected to and a part of the world when things happen that are out of our control. We should focus on what we can do, like adopting principles, like understanding self-control, and fairness. The way of Stoicism leads to a life of moral purity, change, and personal growth. In the year 165, people living by the Stoic philosophy reached their highest level of devotion during the Antonine Plague, which killed a lot of people in the Roman Empire. It destroyed the land, took many lives, and caused fear and chaos in the Roman Empire, which resulted in one of the worst depressions in history during this crisis. Emperor Marcus Aurelius showed amazing leadership skills by blending his unshakable determination with the deep lessons of the Stoic philosophy he got through the plague, by using the Stoic way of thinking, which gave his people security, courage, and hope. The Antonine Plague, which was thought to be an attack of smallpox or measles, hit the Roman Empire with a force that had never been seen before. The plague quickly spread, destroying the empire's social and economic order, and making the people afraid because of the chaos and doubt it caused as a leader. Aurelius saw how important it was to have a way to guide people through this time of CHA, and turned to the Stoic philosophy. He looked inside himself for knowledge and strength to help him face the task. Aurelius followed the practice of Stoicism, which says that you should accept the difficulties of life and stay good even when things go wrong. Stoic philosophers like Epicus and Seneca taught him that virtue alone is enough to make someone happy. He also learned that real happiness and power come from inside a person, not from their surroundings. By facing the facts about the plague, I built up his strength and refused to let fear take over. Instead, he concentrated on his own personality and how he dealt with the problem which were under his control. Marcus Aurelius set a good example by living by the Stoic values he believed in. He showed unshakable courage and strength by staying strong even when he was going through terrible things and huge problems. Even though it put his health at constant risk, he worked hard to meet the needs of his people, showing understanding and kindness through his actions. He told his people to be strong and find peace within themselves. There was a lot going on in his life, but Stoicism helped him find meaning and purpose. He knew that the plague was a chance to improve himself and help others get stronger. The situation acted as a warning of how short life is and how important it is to live virtuously through thinking about how life is temporary. Aurelius told his people to enjoy every moment, put virtue above financial gain, and learn to be thankful even when things are bad. The Roman Empire was strengthened and comforted by Aurelius's use of Stoic philosophy. Despite the Antonine Plague's severe suffering, his guidance and strength made it possible for the kingdom to eventually recover and be restored. Today, the lessons of Stoicism that Aurelius taught us are still relevant because they remind us of the strength of the human spirit and the ability to find inner peace even in the worst situations. The worst time for the Roman Empire was during the Antonine Plague. Marcus Aurelius turned to the timeless knowledge of Stoic philosophy. When he was faced with this terrible problem, with courage, strength, and knowledge, he led his people through the storm and helped them rebuild their lives. The Stoic way of thinking gives us hope by telling us that even in the worst situations, people can rise above their problems, hold on to hope, and win. Stoic lessons have stayed useful over the years and continue to give smart advice to people who want to figure out how to deal with the complicated things in life. It focuses on resilience, self-discipline, and other traits that give people useful tools for dealing with everyday problems, getting through hard times, and finding meaning in a world that is always changing and becoming more complicated. We will look at some important principles that can help us evaluate our lives, as well as the lessons of famous Stoic philosophers that can help us use the idea of Stoicism in real life. We can start a life-changing journey towards self-discovery, inner peace, and living a happy life by learning about Stoic philosophy. As you know, Marcus Aurelius, who was a famous and important philosopher, fully accepted Stoicism as his driving principle and lived his life according to its rules. Stoicism, which has its roots in ancient Greece and gained popularity during the Roman era, emphasizes the development of virtue and fortitude in the face of difficulties. The goal of self-mastery through self-control and discipline is at the heart of this philosophy. Marcus Aurelius, the respected Roman emperor, was the personification of Stoicism. He lived by its lessons and used them to handle the challenges of his life with unshakable strength and knowledge. Stoicism encourages people to find their inner powers and become more resilient. It also suggests that people improve their moral character by exercising moderation and using knowledge to make sure justice and temperance. By cultivating these virtues in our daily lives, we can become better individuals and contribute positively to our communities. Let's consider an example to illustrate how we might apply this lesson. Suppose you find a wallet on the street containing a significant amount of cash and the owner's identification. While it might be tempting to keep the money, pursuing a virtuous life would involve making the effort to return the wallet to its rightful owner. In doing so, you practice the virtues of justice by treating others fairly, and wisdom by understanding the importance of honesty and integrity, by consistently choosing virtuous actions. Even in challenging situations, we develop our character and strengthen our moral compass over time. These decisions can lead to a sense of deep satisfaction and self-respect, as well as the admiration of others by prioritizing virtue above material possessions or external validation. We can create a solid foundation for lasting happiness and personal growth. Pursuing a virtuous life is a key lesson from the Idean and an essential aspect of Stoic philosophy. By striving to cultivate moral excellence and uphold the values of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, we can enrich our lives and contribute positively to the world around us. By embracing these principles, we can begin to experience the true happiness and fulfillment that Epicurus believed was attainable through a life of virtue. Lesson 4. Detachment from material possessions and external circumstances. In the Encourage, Epicurus emphasizes the importance of developing a sense of detachment from material possessions and external circumstances. According to Stoic philosophy, our happiness and well-being should not be dependent on external factors, as they are inherently impermanent and outside our control. Instead, we should cultivate inner strength and self-sufficiency, finding contentment in our own actions and thoughts. By practicing detachment, we can free ourselves from the desire for external validation and the fear of loss, which can cause unnecessary suffering and anxiety. This does not mean that we should abandon our possessions or relationships. Rather, we should maintain a healthy perspective and recognize that they are not the source of our happiness. To illustrate this concept, let's consider an example. Imagine you've worked hard to build a successful career and have amassed a substantial amount of wealth. While you might feel a sense of pride and satisfaction in your accomplishments, Epicurus would caution against becoming too attached to these external markers of success. Instead, he would encourage you to focus on your inner values and virtues, which are the true sources of lasting happiness. To apply this lesson in your daily life, you could practice gratitude for what you have while remaining mindful of the impermanence of material possessions. You might also choose to engage in acts of generosity, such as donating to charity or volunteering your time to help you maintain a balanced perspective on the importance of wealth. Detaching from material possessions and external circumstances is a crucial lesson from the Enneagram and an essential aspect of Stoic philosophy. By cultivating this mindset, we can develop a greater sense of inner peace and resilience, ultimately leading to a more fulfilling and purposeful life. Lesson 5. Practicing self-discipline and self-control. The fifth lesson from the Enneagram revolves around the importance of self-discipline and self-control, critical components of a virtuous life, according to Stoic philosophy. Epicus believed that mastery over one's impulses and desires was crucial for maintaining mental tranquility and achieving personal growth. Self-discipline and self-control involve the ability to resist short-term gratification in favor of long-term benefits, as well as the ability to control our reactions to external circumstances. This practice can be seen as a form of personal freedom, as it liberates us from being slaves to our impulses and allows us to live in accordance with our core values and principles. Consider the example of maintaining a healthy lifestyle. It's often tempting to indulge in unhealthy foods or skip exercise in favor of more sedentary activities. However, by exercising self-discipline, you can resist these short-term temptations and prioritize your long-term health and well-being. This could involve creating a regular exercise routine, preparing healthy meals, and ensuring you get enough sleep. Applying this lesson requires consistent effort and practice, but the rewards are significant by developing self-discipline and self-control. You can make better decisions, achieve your goals more effectively, and live a more balanced and fulfilling life. By mastering our desires and reactions, we can experience the personal freedom and lasting satisfaction that comes from living in harmony with our values and principles. Lesson 6. Overcoming fear and anxiety by focusing on rational thinking. The sixth lesson from the Enneagram emphasizes the importance of rational thinking in overcoming fear and anxiety. Epicus believed that many of our negative emotions arise from irrational beliefs and assumptions. By examining these thoughts and replacing them with rational perspectives, we can alleviate unnecessary suffering and develop a more balanced mindset. One of the primary techniques for achieving this is to question our thoughts and assumptions, especially when they cause us distress. By identifying the irrational beliefs that underlie our fears and anxieties, we can challenge them and replace them with more realistic perspectives. For instance, imagine you're preparing for a public speaking engagement and you're feeling extremely anxious. Your fear might be based on the irrational belief that if you make a mistake or stumble over your words, you'll be ridiculed and judged by your audience. To apply rational thinking, you could remind yourself that everyone makes mistakes and it's unlikely that your audience will be overly critical. Moreover, you can recognize that your value as a person isn't determined by a single performance. By replacing your irrational beliefs with more balanced thoughts, you can reduce your anxiety and approach the situation with greater confidence. Another strategy is to focus on the present moment and avoid dwelling on negative hypothetical scenarios. Often our fears and anxieties stem from our tendency to imagine worst-case outcomes. By grounding ourselves in the present and concentrating on the task at hand, we can minimize the impact of these unproductive thoughts and maintain a more balanced state of mind. The sixth lesson from the Enneagram teaches us the power of rational thinking in overcoming fear and anxiety. By challenging our irrational beliefs and focusing on the present moment, we can develop a more stable mindset and navigate life's challenges with greater clarity and confidence. Lesson 7. Treating others with kindness and empathy. The seventh lesson from the Enneagram highlights the importance of treating others with kindness and empathy. Epicus believed that recognizing our shared humanity and extending compassion towards others is vital for living a virtuous life. According to Stoic philosophy, we are all interconnected and should strive to support one another in our journey toward wisdom and personal growth. One way to apply this lesson is by practicing active listening and being genuinely interested in the thoughts and feelings of others. This approach can help us better understand their perspectives and experiences, fostering empathy and creating stronger connections. For example, imagine a friend is going through a difficult time and shares their struggles with you. Instead of offering unsolicited advice or trying to fix their problems, you can practice empathy by validating their feelings and acknowledging the challenges they're facing. By showing that you genuinely care and understand their situation, you can provide them with the support and encouragement they need to navigate their difficulties. Another aspect of treating others with kindness and empathy involves being aware of how our actions and words may impact those around us. We can strive to act in a way that is considerate, respectful, and supportive. Even when we may not agree with or understand someone else's perspective, this practice can help to create a more harmonious and compassionate environment for everyone. The seventh lesson from the IDN underscores the significance of kindness and empathy in our interactions with others by actively listening, validating others' experiences, and being considerate of their feelings. We can foster deeper connections and contribute to a more compassionate world. In doing so, we embody the Stoic virtues of wisdom, justice, and temperance, furthering our own personal growth and well-being. Lesson 8. Learning from criticism and not being affected by others' opinions. The eighth lesson from the Enneagram addresses the importance of learning from criticism while maintaining a healthy detachment from others' opinions. Epicus believed that it's essential to evaluate feedback objectively, discerning valuable insights from unconstructive remarks. By doing so, we can grow and improve without becoming emotionally entangled in the judgments of others. To apply this lesson, start by cultivating a mindset of curiosity and openness when receiving feedback. Recognize that criticism can offer valuable opportunities for growth and self-improvement. When you encounter criticism, consider the source and context and reflect on whether there's a valid point or lesson to be gleaned from the feedback. For instance, if a colleague offers constructive criticism on a project you've been working on, instead of reacting defensively, take a moment to objectively evaluate their suggestions, if their feedback is valid and can help you improve your work. However, by exercising self-discipline, you can resist these short-term temptations and prioritize. The sixth lesson from the IDN emphasizes the importance of rational thinking in overcoming fear and anxiety. Epicus believed that many of our negative emotions arise from irrational beliefs and assumptions. By examining these thoughts and replacing them with rational perspectives, we can alleviate unnecessary suffering and develop a more balanced mindset. One of the primary techniques for achieving this is to question our thoughts and assumptions, especially when they cause us distress, by identifying the irrational beliefs that underlie our fears and anxieties. We can challenge them and replace them with more realistic perspectives. For instance, imagine you're preparing for a public speaking engagement and you're feeling extremely anxious. Your fear might be based on the irrational belief that if you make a mistake or stumble over your words, you'll be ridiculed and judged by your audience. To apply rational thinking, you could remind yourself that everyone makes mistakes and it's unlikely that your audience will be overly critical. Moreover, you can recognize that your value as a person isn't determined by a single performance. By replacing your irrational beliefs with more balanced thoughts, you can reduce your anxiety and approach the situation with greater confidence. Another strategy is to focus on the present moment and avoid dwelling on negative hypothetical scenarios. Often our fears and anxieties stem from our tendency to imagine worst-case outcomes. By grounding ourselves in the present and concentrating on the task at hand, we can minimize the impact of these unproductive thoughts and maintain a more balanced state of mind. The sixth lesson from the IDN teaches us the power of rational thinking in overcoming fear and anxiety. By challenging our irrational beliefs and focusing on the present moment, we can develop a more stable mindset and navigate life's challenges with greater clarity and confidence. Lesson 7. Treating others with kindness and empathy. The seventh lesson from the Enneagram highlights the importance of treating others with kindness and empathy. Epicus believed that recognizing our shared humanity and extending compassion towards others is vital for living a virtuous life. According to Stoic philosophy, we are all interconnected and should strive to support one another in our journey toward wisdom and personal growth. One way to apply this lesson is by practicing active listening and being genuinely interested in the thoughts and feelings of others. This approach can help us better understand their perspectives and experiences, fostering empathy and creating stronger connections. For example, imagine a friend is going through a difficult time and shares their struggles with you. Instead of offering unsolicited advice or trying to fix their problems, you can practice empathy by validating their feelings and acknowledging the challenges they're facing. By showing that you genuinely care and understand their situation, you can provide them with the support and encouragement they need to navigate their difficulties. Another aspect of treating others with kindness and empathy involves being aware of how our actions and words may impact those around us. We can strive to act in a way that is considerate, respectful, and supportive. Even when we may not agree with or understand someone else's perspective, this practice can help to create a more harmonious and compassionate environment for everyone. The seventh lesson from the Enneagram underscores the significance of kindness and empathy in our interactions with others. By actively listening, validating others' experiences, and being considerate of their feelings, we can foster deeper connections and contribute to a more compassionate world. In doing so, we embody the Stoic virtues of wisdom, justice, and temperance, furthering our own personal growth and well-being. Lesson 8. Learning from criticism and not being affected by others' opinions. The eighth lesson from the Vidya addresses the importance of learning from criticism while maintaining a healthy detachment from others' opinions. Epicus believed that it's essential to evaluate feedback objectively, discerning valuable insights from unconstructive remarks. By doing so, we can grow and improve without becoming emotionally entangled in the judgments of others. To apply this lesson, start by cultivating a mindset of curiosity and openness. When receiving feedback, recognize that criticism can offer valuable opportunities for growth and self-improvement. When you encounter criticism, consider the source and context and reflect on whether there's a valid point or lesson to be gleaned from the feedback. For instance, if a colleague offers constructive criticism on a project you've been working on, instead of reacting defensively, take a moment to objectively evaluate their suggestions if their feedback is valid and can help you improve your work. Express gratitude for their input and implement the necessary changes. If, however, the criticism appears unfounded or unhelpful, acknowledge their perspective, and then let it go without allowing it to negatively impact your self-esteem. It's also essential to remember that others' opinions don't define your worth or abilities. By developing a strong sense of self-awareness and confidence in your own values and strengths, you can maintain emotional equilibrium and avoid being swayed by the judgments of others. The eighth lesson from the Enneagram teaches us the value of learning from criticism while remaining unaffected by others' opinions by adopting an open and objective mindset. When receiving feedback, we can use it as a tool for growth and self-improvement while maintaining a healthy sense of self-worth and emotional resilience. Lesson 9. Developing resilience in the face of adversity. The ninth lesson from the Enneagram highlights the importance of developing resilience in the face of adversity. Epictetus believed that life is inherently filled with challenges and setbacks, and our ability to adapt and persevere through these difficult moments is crucial for personal growth and well-being. One way to cultivate resilience is by embracing a growth mindset, which entails viewing setbacks as opportunities for learning and self-improvement. By reframing challenges as chances to develop new skills and perspectives, we can maintain a positive attitude even when facing adversity. Suppose you've lost your job unexpectedly. Instead of succumbing to despair or feeling like a failure, you can apply the lesson of resilience by viewing the situation as an opportunity to explore new career paths, acquire new skills, or pursue passions that you may not have had time for previously. By maintaining a growth mindset, you can turn adversity into an opportunity for positive change. Another aspect of developing resilience is learning to manage our emotional reactions to difficult circumstances. Epictetus emphasized the importance of distinguishing between events themselves and our judgments about those events. By recognizing that our emotions are shaped by our thoughts and beliefs, we can gain better control over our reactions and maintain a sense of calm and stability, even in challenging situations. The ninth lesson from the Enneagram underscores the importance of developing resilience in the face of adversity. By embracing a growth mindset and managing our emotional reactions, we can persevere through life's challenges and continue to grow and thrive. This ability to adapt and bounce back from setbacks is a hallmark of Stoic philosophy and a key component of a fulfilling life lesson. 10. Reflecting on one's own thoughts and actions for self-improvement. The 10th lesson from the Enneagram emphasizes the import of self-reflection as a means for personal growth and self-improvement. Epictetus believed that by regularly examining our thoughts, actions, and motivations, we can gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and make conscious efforts to align our behavior with our core values and principles. One effective method of self-reflection is to set aside time each day for introspection and contemplation. This practice can involve reviewing the events of the day, identifying areas where we may have fallen short of our values, and considering ways to improve in the future. By making self-reflection a consistent habit, we can become more mindful of our actions and strive for continuous self-improvement. For example, at the end of each day, you might take a few moments to reflect on your interactions with others, your responses to external events, and any internal struggles you may have experienced. As you review these experiences, consider whether your actions were in line with your values such as honesty, compassion, or integrity. If you identify areas where you could have behaved differently, use this insight to guide your actions in the future. Another important aspect of self-reflection is recognizing and challenging any limiting beliefs or negative thought patterns that may be holding you back. By becoming aware of these mental obstacles and working to replace them with more empowering beliefs, you can foster personal growth and create lasting change. The 10th lesson from the Enneagram highlights the power of self-reflection as a tool for personal growth and self-improvement. By consistently examining our thoughts and actions and striving to align them with our core values, we can foster a deeper understanding of ourselves and cultivate a more authentic and fulfilling life. This practice of introspection and self-awareness is an essential component of Stoic philosophy and a valuable lesson for us all as we come to the conclusion of this enlightening journey. Through the top 10 lessons from Epictetus, we are reminded of the enduring wisdom and practical insights that the Enneagram offers us. We began by understanding the significance of differentiating between what is in our control and what is not, learning to cultivate inner peace in a world often brimming with uncertainty. We then delved into the importance of embracing fate and accepting events in life with grace, fostering a sense of resilience and serenity in the face of adversity. We also discovered the profound truth that living a virtuous life characterized by kindness, wisdom, and self-discipline is within our reach. We learned to detach ourselves from material possessions and external circumstances, finding fulfillment and contentment within ourselves. The lessons of practicing self-discipline and self-control, as well as treating others with kindness and empathy, were illuminated, reminding us of the fundamental principles of Stoic philosophy. We understood how to overcome fear and anxiety through rational thinking, learning to challenge and transform our irrational beliefs into balanced perspectives in a world that often values external validation. We were shown the necessity of learning from criticism without being affected by others' opinions, fostering a healthy sense of self-worth and emotional resilience. The 9th lesson underscored the value of developing resilience in the face of adversity, emphasizing the importance of a both mindset and emotional regulation. And finally, we were encouraged to engage in continual self-reflection, striving to align our actions with our values, and seeking constant self-improvement as we move forward. I invite you to carry these lessons with you, applying them to your daily life. Remember that Stoicism is not just a philosophy to be contemplated, but a way of life to be lived. Embodying these teachings can profoundly impact your perspective, your relationships, and your overall quality of life. Epictetus, once a slave who rose to become one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, leaves us with a remarkable legacy. His teachings encapsulated in the Enneagram still resonate with us today, providing us with practical wisdom to navigate the complexities of life in a world that is continuously changing. In the philosophy of Epictetus remains a steadfast guide offering timeless insights into achieving a life of tranquility, virtue, and fulfillment. As we conclude, let us remember Epictetus's words. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Let this be a compass that directs us toward a life of wisdom, resilience, and virtue. Let's embody these teachings, embrace the Stoic way of life, and step into a world of peace, understanding, and continual growth. Marcus Aurelius, a renowned Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, is often referred to as the Philosopher King. Despite being one of the most powerful men in the world, during his time he faced numerous struggles and hardships, from political upheaval to personal loss. Amidst these challenges, he penned his deeply introspective and insightful book Meditations as a means of self-improvement and reflection, comprised of his personal thoughts and observations. This iconic work has inspired countless individuals over the centuries, providing guidance on how to live a virtuous and fulfilling life in today's fast-paced and often uncertain world. Resilience and inner strength are qualities that have become more important than ever before. We're constantly bombarded by change, whether it's in our careers, relationships, or personal lives. But what if we could learn to navigate these changes with grace and wisdom? transforming adversity into an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. This is where Marcus Aurelius's Meditations comes into play as a Stoic. Marcus Aurelius believed in the importance of cultivating inner virtues and practicing self-mastery. He believed that by focusing on the things we can control, our thoughts, emotions, and actions, we can overcome external circumstances and maintain a sense of balance and equanimity. In essence, Stoicism teaches us to be the architects of our own happiness and well-being, regardless of the challenges we face. What can we learn from this great philosopher in this video? We're going to delve into the pages of Meditations and uncover 10 timeless life lessons that will help us develop resilience and inner strength. These lessons will not only provide practical advice for managing difficult situations, but also inspire us to cultivate a more resilient mindset in our daily lives. By applying the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, we can become better equipped to handle adversity, grow from our experiences, and ultimately lead a more fulfilling and contented life. As we journey through these 10 lessons, we'll explore the importance of controlling our thoughts and perceptions, accepting what we cannot change, focusing on the present moment, cultivating humility and empathy, and much more. Each of these lessons is grounded in the Stoic principles that Marcus Aurelius espoused and practiced throughout his life. Offering a roadmap for navigating life's challenges is with resilience, wisdom, and inner strength. Whether you're facing personal struggles, professional setbacks, or simply looking for guidance on how to lead a more balanced and fulfilling life, the teachings of Marcus Aurelius can serve as a powerful source of inspiration and wisdom. Lesson 1. Control your perception. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Our perception of the world around us shapes our reality. It influences how we react to situations, how we interact with others, and ultimately how we feel about ourselves. Marcus Aurelius's quote serves as a powerful reminder that we need to be mindful of our thoughts and perceptions by recognizing that our interpretations of events are not absolute truths, but rather subjective perspectives. We can start to take control of our emotional responses and thought patterns, leading to greater resilience and inner strength. Controlling our thoughts and perceptions begins with self-awareness. It's essential to monitor our thoughts and identify when we may be engaging in negative or unhelpful thinking patterns. Once we become aware of these patterns, we can actively work to replace them with more constructive, rational perspectives. One practical tip for practicing in this skill is to engage in daily mindfulness exercises. Mindfulness involves focusing on the present moment without judgment, allowing us to observe our thoughts and emotions as they arise, without becoming overly attached or reactive. By practicing mindfulness, we can develop greater self-awareness and learn to recognize when we need to shift our perceptions. Another technique to help control your perception is to challenge your thoughts through cognitive restructuring. This involves identifying any negative or irrational thoughts, then actively questioning and replacing them with more balanced and rational alternatives. For example, if you find yourself thinking, "I'm a failure because I didn't get that promotion," try to reframe the thought as, "I may not have gotten the promotion this time, but it doesn't. Define my worth or abilities I can learn from this experience and continue to grow professionally." Finally, surrounding yourself with positive influences can also help you control your perceptions. Seek out friends, mentors, or role models who embody the values and attitudes you want to cultivate within yourself. Engaging in uplifting conversations and activities can help reinforce a more optimistic and constructive mindset. In summary, controlling our perceptions is a crucial step in building resilience and inner strength. By practicing self-awareness, mindfulness, cognitive restructuring, and surrounding ourselves with positive influences, we can train our minds to see the world through a more balanced and constructive lens. This shift in perspective can empower us to overcome adversity and face life's challenges with greater confidence and composure. Remember, as Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, our perceptions are not absolute truths, and we have the power to shape them to our advantage. Lesson 2. Accept what you cannot change. Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together. But do so with all your heart. One of the most powerful lessons Marcus Aurelius teaches us is the importance of acceptance and letting go of what we cannot not control. This is a fundamental principle of Stoicism and a key aspect of building resilience and inner strength. When we learn to embrace the unpredictability of life and accept circumstances beyond our control, we can focus our energy on what truly matters, our thoughts, emotions, and actions. Acceptance allows us to make peace with the present moment and find contentment. Despite life's inevitable ups and downs, by letting go of our need for control, we free ourselves from the burden of worry, anxiety, and frustration, making it easier to navigate challenging situations with grace and wisdom. To adopt this mindset, start by recognizing the aspects of your life that are beyond your control. Make a list of situations, events, or circumstances that you have no power over, and practice accepting them as they are. This exercise can help you become more aware of the difference between what you can and cannot control, allowing you to let go of any unproductive attempts to change what is out of your hands. Another helpful technique is to practice the art of non-attachment. Non-attachment involves acknowledging and appreciating the impermanent nature of life. By understanding that everything is transient and subject to change, we can develop a more balanced perspective and learn to accept the natural ebb and flow of life when faced with a challenging situation. Remind yourself that this too shall pass and try to approach it with an open heart. And mind meditation can also be a valuable tool for promoting acceptance by setting aside time each day to quiet your mind and observe your thoughts and emotions. You can develop a greater understanding of your reactions to life's challenges. This increased self-awareness can make it easier to recognize when you're struggling to accept what you cannot change and help you shift towards a more accepting mindset. Learning to accept what we cannot change is a critical aspect of building resilience and inner strength. By practicing awareness, non-attachment, and meditation, we can develop a more balanced and accepting perspective on life. Embracing this mindset not only enables you to face adversity with grace and wisdom, but also allows us to appreciate the beauty and richness of life. As Marcus Aurelius so eloquently expressed in his quote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." Lesson 3. Focus on the present moment. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. Marcus Aurelius emphasizes the importance of living in the present moment and not allowing ourselves to become consumed by the past or future. By concentrating our minds on the here and now, we can experience life more fully and develop a greater sense of inner peace and contentment. Focusing on the present moment has numerous benefits, including reduced stress and anxiety, increased self-awareness, and improved mental well-being. When we practice mindfulness and being present, we allow ourselves to truly engage with our experiences and emotions instead of being constantly distracted by past regrets or future worries. This heightened sense of awareness enables us to gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and our environment, fostering personal growth and self-discovery. One way to develop the habit of being present is by engaging in mindfulness meditation. This form of meditation involves observing your thoughts and emotions without judgment, allowing you to become fully immersed in the present moment. To practice mindfulness, meditation, simply find a quiet space, sit comfortably, and bring your attention to your breath as thoughts and emotions arise. Acknowledge them without judgment and gently guide your focus back to your breath. This practice can be done for as little as 5 minutes a day and can have a profound impact on your overall well-being. Another technique to help you focus on the present moment is to incorporate mindful activities into your daily routine. This can include practices such as mindful eating, where you savor each bite and pay attention to the flavors and textures of your food, mood, or mindful walking, where you observe your surroundings and the sensations of your body as you move. By integrating mindfulness into everyday activities, you can develop a greater appreciation for the present moment and become more in tune with your thoughts and emotions. Consider setting aside time each day for reflection and self-assessment. Journaling can be an effective way to process your experiences, emotions, and thoughts, helping you become more aware of the present moment by reflecting on your day and identifying patterns in your thoughts and behaviors. You can gain valuable insights that can help you stay focused on the present and make more conscious choices moving forward. Lesson 4. Cultivate humility and empathy. Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question. What fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize? Humility and empathy are essential virtues for building resilience and inner strength. They help us develop stronger relationships, create a more compassionate mindset, and foster greater self-awareness. Marcus Aurelius's quote serves as a reminder that before we judge or criticize others, we must first reflect on our own imperfections and strive to understand the experiences and feelings of those around us. Practicing humility involves recognizing that we are not infallible and that we can learn from others regardless of their status or background. By adopting a humble attitude, we become more open to feedback and personal growth, enabling us to overcome challenges and adapt to new situations more effectively. To practice humility in your daily life, make an effort to listen more and speak less. Pay attention to the ideas and opinions of others, and be open to the possibility that you may be wrong or have something to learn from them. Additionally, be willing to admit your mistakes and take responsibility for your actions. This willingness to be vulnerable can help you grow as a person and develop a more resilient mindset. Empathy, on the other hand, involves putting yourself in another person's shoes and trying to understand their feelings, thoughts, and experiences. This ability to connect with others on a deeper level can help you navigate difficult situations and foster stronger relationships, ultimately making you more resilient in the face of adversity. To develop empathy, practice active listening. When conversing with others, give them your full attention and strive to understand their perspective without judgment. Ask open-ended questions to encourage deeper sharing and show genuine interest in their feelings and experiences. Volunteering or engaging in acts of service can also help you build empathy. Helping others, especially those in need or facing challenges, can provide you with a greater understanding of their experiences and emotions, fostering a deeper sense of compassion and empathy. Humility and empathy are key components of building resilience and inner strength. By practicing active listening, engaging in self-reflection, and participating in activities that foster compassion, we can develop a more empathetic and humble outlook on life. Lesson 5. Practice gratitude. When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Marcus Aurelius reminds us of the power and importance of gratitude in our lives. By focusing on the blessings we have and appreciating the beauty of life, we can foster a more positive mindset, enhance our well-being, and build resilience in the face of challenges. There are numerous benefits to embracing gratitude. Studies have shown that people who regularly express gratitude experience increased happiness, improved mental health, stronger relationships, and even better physical health. Grateful individuals tend to be more optimistic, have lower levels of stress and anxiety, and are better equipped to handle difficult situations. To integrate gratitude into your daily life, consider starting a gratitude journal each day. Write down 3 things you are grateful for, no matter how big or small. This simple practice can help you shift your focus from the negative aspects of life to the positive, enabling you to recognize and appreciate the good things that are often overlooked. Another way to practice gratitude is to express your appreciation to others. Take the time to thank friends, family, and colleagues for their support, kindness, and understanding. By acknowledging the value of their contributions to your life, you not only strengthen your relationships but also reinforce your own sense of gratitude. Additionally, make a habit of reflecting on your achievements and accomplishments as well as the challenges you've overcome. Recognizing your personal growth and the lessons you've learned can help you appreciate the journey you've taken, fostering a deeper sense of gratitude for the experiences that have shaped you. Mindfulness can also play a role in developing gratitude. By paying attention to the present moment, you can notice the small joys and pleasures that often go unnoticed, such as the warmth of the sun on your face or the laughter of a loved one. By savoring these moments, you can nurture a greater sense of gratitude for the simple gifts life has to offer. Practicing gratitude is a powerful way to enhance your overall well-being. Foster a positive mindset and build resilience by maintaining a gratitude journal. expressing appreciation to others, reflecting on personal growth, and practicing mindfulness. You can develop a deeper sense of gratitude for life's many blessings. Lesson 6. Embrace adversity as an opportunity for growth. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius. In this powerful lesson, Marcus Aurelius teaches us to view adversity not as an insurmountable obstacle, but as an opportunity for personal growth and self-improvement. By shifting our perspective on challenges and setbacks, we can develop greater resilience and inner strength, allowing us to overcome even the most difficult situations. Challenges can be opportunities for personal growth in several ways. They can help us build new skills, gain valuable experience, and learn more about ourselves and our capabilities. Additionally, overcoming adversity can foster a greater sense of self-confidence as we recognize our ability to navigate difficult situations and emerge stronger on the other side. To reframe adversity as a chance to learn and grow, start by adopting a growth mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that our abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication and hard work. When faith fades with a challenge, ask yourself what skills or knowledge you can acquire from the experience and how it can help you become a better, more capable person. Another technique to help you embrace adversity as an opportunity for growth is to practice reframing negative thoughts when encountering a difficult situation. Try to identify the negative thoughts that arise and consciously shift them into more positive, empowering statements. For example, if you find yourself thinking, "I'll never be able to handle this," reframe it as, "This is a challenging situation, but I can learn and grow from it." You can also seek inspiration from the stories of others who have overcome adversity and achieved personal growth. Research the lives of famous figures, read biographies, or listen to podcasts about individuals who have faced significant challenges and use them as stepping stones to success. These examples can serve as a powerful reminder of the potential for growth and transformation that lies within every obstacle. Lastly, consider seeking support from friends, family, or professional counselors when faced with adversity. Surrounding yourself with a supportive network can provide valuable encouragement, advice, and perspective, helping you to view challenges as opportunities for growth rather than insurmountable barriers. Embracing adversity as an opportunity for growth is a key component of building resilience and inner strength. By adopting a growth mindset, practicing reframing, seeking inspiration, and leaning on a support network, we can learn to view challenges as chances to learn, grow, and become better versions of ourselves. Lesson 7. Be guided by reason. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius highlights the crucial role that rational thinking and logic play in our overall happiness and ability to overcome adversity. By guiding our thoughts and actions with reason, we can make more informed decisions, manage our emotions more effectively, and navigate challenges with greater clarity and resilience. Rational thinking is important in overcoming adversity because it enables us to objectively assess a situation, identify potential solutions, and weigh the pros and cons of each option. By approaching challenges with a logical mindset, we can minimize the influence of impulsive emotions, such as fear or anger, which can often cloud our judgment and lead to poor decision-making. One way to develop rational thinking is by practicing critical thinking skills. This involves questioning assumptions, evaluating evidence, and considering alternative viewpoints when faced with a difficult situation. Take a step back and ask yourself what assumptions you might be making, whether there is sufficient evidence to support your beliefs, and if there are any alternative explanations or solutions that you may have overlooked. Another strategy for cultivating rational thinking is to engage in regular self-reflection. By periodically examining our thoughts, beliefs, and actions, we can gain a deeper understanding of our motivations, biases, and thought patterns. This self-awareness can help us recognize when our thinking may be influenced by emotions or false assumptions, allowing us to redirect our thoughts toward a more logical and reasoned approach. It's also important to practice emotional regulation, as strong emotions can often interfere with rational thinking. Techniques, such as mindfulness meditation and deep breathing exercises, can help you manage your emotions more effectively, creating the mental space needed for clear, logical thinking. Finally, consider seeking out opportunities to learn and develop your problem Solving skills. Engage in activities that challenge your mind, such as solving puzzles, playing strategy games, or participating in debates. These experiences can help sharpen your logical thinking abilities and enhance your capacity to approach adversity with reason. And clarity, being guided by reason, is a vital component of overcoming adversity and building resilience. By practicing critical thinking, engaging in self-reflection, managing emotions, and honing problem-solving skills, we can develop a more rational mindset that allows us to navigate life's challenges with greater clarity and success. Lesson 8. Cultivate inner peace. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius emphasizes the profound impact our thoughts have on our emotional state and inner peace. Cultivating inner peace is essential in building resilience and maintaining emotional balance, as it allows us to navigate challenges more effectively and maintain a sense of calm in the face of adversity. Inner peace is important for several reasons. First, it helps us manage stress and anxiety more effectively. When we are at peace with ourselves, we are better equipped to handle the pressures and uncertainties that life inevitably presents. This emotional balance can help prevent burnout, reduce the risk of mental health issues, and promote overall well-being. Second, inner peace allows us to think more clearly and make better decisions. When our minds are not clouded by emotional turbulence, we can approach challenges with a greater sense of clarity and focus, allowing us to develop more effective solutions and strategies. An effective way for cultivating inner peace is engaging in activities that bring you joy and relaxation. This might include spending time in nature, pursuing hobbies, or connecting with loved ones. Prioritizing self-care and nurturing activities can help replenish your emotional reserves and promote a sense of balance and tranquility. It's also essential to develop healthy coping mechanisms for managing stress and negative emotions. This might involve practicing deep breathing exercises or engaging in physical activity such as yoga or walking. These techniques can help release tension and restore emotional equilibrium. Lastly, consider adopting a regular gratitude practice as discussed earlier. By focusing on the positives in your life and expressing gratitude for the blessings you have, you can foster a more optimistic outlook and cultivate a sense of inner peace. Lesson 9. Practice detachment. Attach yourself to what is spiritually superior, regardless of what other people think or do. Marcus Aurelius. In this lesson, Marcus Aurelius encourages us to practice detachment from external events and circumstances by focusing on our inner values and spiritual growth. Rather than seeking validation or fulfillment from external sources, we can develop greater resilience and inner strength. The benefits of detachment are numerous. Detachment allows us to maintain a sense of equanimity and emotional stability, even in the face of adversity or challenging situations. It also helps us avoid becoming overly attached to outcomes, possessions, or the opinions of others, which can lead to stress, anxiety, and disappointment. To cultivate detachment in daily life, begin by becoming more mindful of your thoughts and reactions to external events. Pay attention to how you respond to situations, and practice observing your emotions and thoughts without becoming overly attached or identified with them. This increased self-awareness can help you recognize when you may be overly invested in external circumstances and make a conscious effort to shift your focus inward. And another tip for practicing detachment is to regularly remind yourself of the impermanent nature of life. Recognize that possessions, relationships, and circumstances are all subject to change, and that seeking lasting happiness from these sources is ultimately futile. Instead, strive to find inner contentment and fulfillment by focusing on your personal growth, values, and spirituality. Developing a strong sense of self and knowing your core values can also help you cultivate detachment. When you have a clear understanding of what truly matters to you, it becomes easier to let go of external factors that may not align with your values. Spend time reflecting on your core beliefs and use them as a guiding force in your decision-making and actions. Lastly, engage in regular spiritual or reflective practices, such as meditation, journaling, or prayer. These practices can help you deepen your connection to your inner self, promoting a sense of detachment from external influences and fostering a greater focus on personal growth and spiritual development. Practicing detachment from external events and circumstances can be a powerful tool for building resilience and inner strength. By focusing on inner values, cultivating self-awareness, and embracing the impermanence of external factors, we can navigate life's challenges with greater equanimity and clarity. By cultivating mindfulness, embracing impermanence, understanding your values, and engaging in spiritual practices, you can develop a sense of detachment that allows you to navigate life's challenges with greater grace and equanimity. Lesson 10. Keep moving forward. Do not indulge in dreams of having what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess, and then thankfully remember how you would crave for them if they were not yours. In this final lesson, Marcus Aurelius emphasizes the importance of perseverance and forward momentum in overcoming adversity. By focusing on the blessings we already have and maintaining a growth mindset, we can continue to progress and evolve, even in the face of challenges. Perseverance is crucial in overcoming adversity because it enables us to push through obstacles, learn from setbacks, and keep moving toward our goals. By maintaining a forward momentum, we can build resilience and inner strength, as well as develop the skills and experience necessary to navigate future challenges. To maintain motivation and a growth mindset, start by setting clear, achievable goals that align with your values and passions. By having a clear vision of what you want to achieve, you can stay focused and motivated, even when faced with obstacles or setbacks. Break your goals down into smaller, manageable steps and celebrate your progress along the way to maintain motivation. Another suggestion for maintaining motivation is to practice self-compassion. Recognize that setbacks and challenges are a natural part of life, and treat yourself with kindness and understanding. When you encounter difficulties, by cultivating self-compassion, you can maintain a positive attitude and stay motivated to continue moving forward, even when faced with adversity. Additionally, surrounding yourself with supportive and like-minded individuals can help you maintain motivation and a growth mindset. Seek out friends, mentors, or support groups that share your values and goals, and draw inspiration and encouragement from their successes and experiences. Finally, take time to regularly reflect on your progress and accomplishments. Acknowledge the obstacles you've overcome, the skills you've acquired, and the growth you've experienced along the way. This reflection can help you maintain a sense of forward momentum and inspire you to continue pushing through challenges and pursuing your goals. Maintaining perseverance and forward momentum is essential in overcoming adversity and building resilience. By setting clear goals, practicing self-compassion, surrounding yourself with support, and reflecting on your progress, you can maintain motivation and continue moving forward no matter the challenges life may present. We have explored 10 powerful life lessons from Marcus Aurelius's Meditations that can help us build resilience and inner strength. These lessons have offered us invaluable insights into controlling our perceptions, accepting what we cannot change, focusing on the present moment, developing humility and empathy, practicing gratitude, embracing adversity as an opportunity for growth, being guided by reason, cultivating inner peace, practicing detachment, and maintaining forward momentum. By integrating these timeless teachings into our daily lives, we can foster personal growth, overcome adversity, and live more fulfilling, purpose-driven lives. It is important to remember that building resilience and inner strength is a lifelong journey, and implementing these lessons takes time, practice, and dedication. As you continue to face challenges and setbacks, draw upon the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius and strive to embody the principles he so eloquently shared in his Meditations. By doing so, you will not only become more resilient and resourceful in the face of adversity, but will also discover a greater sense of inner peace, purpose, and fulfillment. As we part ways, I encourage you to reflect on these 10 life lessons and consider how you can apply them in your own life as you embark on this journey of personal growth and self-discovery. Remember that the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius is a timeless guide that can help you navigate life's challenges with grace, wisdom, and resilience. In the words of the great Stoic philosopher himself, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. By incorporating these lessons into your daily life, you can positively shape the quality of your thoughts and cultivate the resilience and inner strength necessary to thrive in an ever-changing world. May you find strength, inspiration, and growth through the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, and may your journey toward resilience and inner strength be one of deep self-discovery, fulfillment, and lasting happiness. One practical tip for practicing this skill is to engage in daily mindfulness exercises. Mindfulness involves focusing on the present moment without judgment, allowing us to observe our thoughts and emotions as they arise without becoming overly attached or reactive. By practicing mindfulness, we can develop greater self-awareness and learn to recognize when we need to shift our perceptions. Another technique to help control your perception is to challenge your thoughts through cognitive restructuring. This involves identifying any negative or irrational thoughts, then actively questioning and replacing them with more balanced and rational alternatives. For example, if you find yourself thinking, "I'm a failure because I didn't get that promotion," try to reframe the thought as, "I may not have gotten the promotion this time, but it doesn't define my worth or abilities. I can learn from this experience and continue to grow professionally." Finally, surrounding yourself with positive influences can also help you control your perceptions. Seek out friends, mentors, or role models who embody the values and attitudes you want to cultivate within yourself. Engaging in uplifting conversations and activities can help reinforce a more optimistic and constructive mindset. In summary, controlling our perceptions is a crucial step in building resilience and inner strength by practicing self-awareness, mindfulness, cognitive restructuring, and surrounding ourselves with positive influences. We can train our minds to see the world through a more balanced and constructive lens. This shift in perspective can empower us to overcome adversity and face life's challenges with greater confidence and composure. Remember, as Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, our perception are not absolute truths, and we have the power to shape them to our advantage. Lesson 2. Accept what you cannot change, accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together. But do so with all your heart. One of the most powerful lessons Marcus Aurelius teaches us is the importance of acceptance and letting go of what we cannot control. This is a fundamental principle of Stoicism and a key aspect of building resilience and inner strength. When we learn to embrace the unpredictability of life and accept circumstances beyond our control, we can focus our energy on what truly matters, our thoughts, emotions, and actions. Acceptance allows us to make peace with the present moment and find contentment, despite life's inevitable ups and downs, by letting go of our need for control, ourself free. Greetings, friends. Today, we will explore a topic many have faced: how to act when a woman ignores you. But we won't approach this from a place of bitterness or ego. Instead, we'll tap into the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy to maintain our self-respect, confidence, and personal growth. The Stoics were not concerned with controlling external events, but with how we respond to them internally. The famous philosopher Epictetus said, "Men are disturbed not by things but by the principles and notions which they form." Concerning things, when someone ignores us, it can trigger feelings of rejection, hurt, and even anger. But the Stoic path teaches us that our troubles come not from the situation, but from our judgments. We always have a choice in how we view things over the next hour. We'll learn practice ICAL strategies from the ancient Stoics on emotional control, self-worth, confidence, and personal growth. We'll see how to avoid the traps of seeking validation from others and instead focus on becoming the best versions of ourselves. Even if you're brand new to Stoicism, have no fear. I'll guide you through these profound yet simple teachings, using modern examples we can all relate to, too. We'll apply this ancient wisdom to the contemporary challenge of being ignored by a romantic interest. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Let's begin cultivating that way of thinking together. So settle in, keep an open mind, and explore how Stoicism's resilient philosophy can empower us when facing this all-too-common situation. The Stoic approach to Chapter 1. The Stoic approach to emotional control. Emotional control. Our journey begins by looking inward, for the path to composure lies in mastering our mind and emotions. The Stoics were pioneers in developing techniques for emotional discipline and rational thinking, as Marcus Aurelius declared. You have power over your mind, not outside events, real. Is this, and you will find strength when a woman ignores you. It can trigger unpleasant feelings, hurt, anger, insecurity. But the Stoics would remind us that these emotions originate not from her actions, but from our judgments about those actions. We are disturbed not by the reality itself, but by our views of that reality. Consider this example: you feel confident and prepared for a job interview, but in the end you don't get the position. How do you respond? Do you spiral into self-doubt and negativity, or do you view it impartially? This is merely one outcome amongst infinite possibilities in your career journey. The Stoics were not immune to misfortune or adversity, but their secret power lay in separating external events from their internal experience of those events. They realized that while they couldn't control every situation, they could control their mindset and emotional reactions. Imagine you're out with friends and an attractive woman at the bar catches your eye. You decide to introduce yourself only to be met with complete indifference or even disdain. As she turns away without a word, a typical reaction may be rejection, embarrassment, or even anger toward her. But think for a moment what has actually happened here. This woman, a total stranger, has declined your advances. That's the objective reality. Your hurtful emotions come from the stories you tell yourself about why she ignored you, that you're inadequate, unattractive, a failure with the opposite sex. Those beliefs then generate feelings. The Stoic path encourages us to pause and view such situations rationally. Perhaps she's in a relationship or had a bad dating experience recently. Maybe she needed to arrive on time or felt intimidated by your approach. The reasons are endless, but they have little to do with your inherent worth. Her ignoring you reveals more about her current state than any truth about you, by separating the facts from your interpretations. You take back control, breathe deeply, and observe your thoughts and feelings impartially without judging them. This self-awareness and detachment is vital. Press pause when the movie of your mind gets caught up in negative narratives about yourself. Consult your rational faculty as Marcus Aurelius did, asking, what is the nature of this thing in itself? And stripped of the outer casing under that shell of a bruised ego, is there any genuine harm here, or is this just a fleeting social interaction with no more profound significance? The more you reinforce perspective taking over knee-jerk emotional reactions, the more unshakable your poise becomes, like working a muscle. It's a skill honed over time through determined practice, but the freedom of an unruffled mind in challenging situations is an invaluable strength. So the next time you face indifference from someone you're interested in, remember the Stoic is unmoved by the opinions of others. You cannot control their behaviors, but you can control how you respond. Will you unleash a tornado of negative emotions, or maintain your inner meteorological calm? The choice is yours. Focusing on self-worth. And Chapter 2, Focusing on Self-Worth and Avoiding Pedestals. Avoiding pedestals at the core of the Stoic philosophy is a steadfast belief in our inherent self-worth as human beings. As Marcus Aurelius boldly stated, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Too often we seek validation and self-esteem from external sources, relationships, careers, and societal status. But the Stoics knew that genuine self-respect can only be found within it, is a well that can never dry, if we have the wisdom to keep drawing from it in our modern world. We face constant pressures and illusions that can corrupt this inner sense of value. Social media, for instance, has become a staging ground for countless people to perform an idealized version of their lives, chasing after likes and shares as metrics for their worth. But as the philosopher saw clearly, these are mere outward casing. They do not reflect our essence. Imagine this scenario: you muster the confidence to approach an attractive woman at a party. You make conversation, feeling there's a spark of connection. But then her friends arrive, and suddenly you're treated with utter disregard, even mocking glances and whispers like a flipped switch. Her demeanor transforms from warm to ice cold, as she prioritizes regaining her friend's approval at that moment. It's easy to feel diminished, to take her behavior change as a judgment of your value. But the Stoics would urge you to pause and reflect. Have the objective facts about who you are changed? Or is this merely someone else's distorted perception, based on shallow social dynamics? You see, when we place our self-worth in the hands of others, we become perpetually vulnerable to hurt and suffering, We make them the arbiters of our self-esteem, which is an inherently imbalanced and hazardous position as Epicus taught. We must be careful to make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest. As it happens, a woman's interest or admiration is not in your rational control, so it cannot be the basis for self-respect. Her ignoring you may sting at the moment, but it reveals nothing about your unvarnished worth. That worth was established long before this encounter by the virtues and qualities you've cultivated through conscious effort, your values, wisdom, talents, and strengths. The key is this: do not put anyone on a pedestal mentally, elevating them to a plane of judgment over your self-worth. Recognize that we are all flawed human beings, operating in from our fears, insecurities, and unconscious patterns. Her dismissive behavior likely has nothing to do with you and everything to do with her internal lens. Just as you would not respect the opinion of a cruel person, do not be diminished by cruelty camouflaged as casual disregard. A famous saying is, "I will show favor to others not because they are human beings, but because I am." Your self-worth is a spring that flows from within. Tap into it by reflecting on your admirable qualities, skills, and virtuous actions, not just in dating, but all areas of life. List your positive traits, accomplishments, and moments when you felt genuine self-respect. Reinforce this solid bedrock of inner value. Then when someone attempts to undermine or ignore you, it will be like a gentle spring rain off a sturdy oak tree. Their behavior cannot penetrate or corrupt what you have rooted inside. You can wish them well, while firmly upholding your unshakable self-esteem. Suppose your sense of worth derives from the reality of who you have diligently become. In that case, no one can make you feel unworthy with disregard or disrespect. As long as you hold fast to this inner locus of identity and value, you will be free from the seductive traps of egotism, just as much as groveling insecurity. Remain calm and focused on the ethical part of yourself. Cherish this and keep it free from outrage and smear. By embodying wisdom, integrity, and nobility in your actions daily, you honor your highest self, the only judge whose opinion cannot be ignored. Chapter 3. Developing a mindset of self-superiority. Developing a mindset of self-superiority. The Stoics were not advocates of arrogance or conceit. However, they firmly believed that no one is inherently superior or inferior to you. As Epicus boldly stated, no man is free who is not master of himself. This doesn't mean looking down on others, but refusing to accept a sense of lower status or subservience. It is a mindset of unshakable self-respect and equality. With all people in today's world, we frequently encounter situations that can trigger feelings of inadequacy or intimidation, especially when it comes to interactions with the opposite sex. You may work in an environment where you're one of the few males in a female-dominated workplace, or you find yourself the sole single guy in a tight-knit group of married friends. These contexts can breed unconscious beliefs that the women around you are above you. Imagine you finally work up the nerve to chat with an attractive colleague you've admired from afar, but she immediately dismisses you with an arrogant, disinterested attitude. It stings. That little voice inside pipes up. What did you expect? She's way out of your league. There's nothing special about you. You're just a low-level guy here. But the Stoics would urge you to inspect that self-diminishing thought. Whose metric of leagues are you accepting indeed? It is not your own, for if you held yourself as fundamentally equal and worthy, such small-minded social distinctions would have no weight when we mentally upper hand to others based on superficial traits like looks, status, income, or lifestyle. We surrender our inner freedom and poise. We make them the judges of our self-worth instead of the immutable and lofty judge within us. Remember, the wise man regards nothing but virtue as real good. Epicus used the vivid metaphor of an impregnable inner citadel to symbolize this sense of self-sovereignty. No matter the assault from external circumstances or personal slights, he knew his essential worth could never be penetrated from the outside, only from the inside by his faulty judgments and distorted views. So when that colleague carelessly ignores your greetings or polite banter, realize that her behavior is akin to an outermost gate. It may cause minor unrest. Still, it poses no threat to your unconquerable inner citadel. Her disregard, fundamentally, alters nothing about your inherent value as a person. The same applies to women you may approach in social settings who exhibit indifference or mocking attitudes. Surprise them with unflappable noble self-composure, rather than defensively questioning your worth for you. Recognize that no one can attain superiority over your serene virtue, simply through dismissive gestures or antics. Maintain your wise self-possession and self-control. This is true power. Question yourself: does what's happened either help or harm your sovereign faculty of self-governance? If not, carry on without a care. Of course, the Stoics were not immune to insecurities, anger, or hurt. They too had to continually reinforce this counterintuitive way of seeing themselves as vulnerable humans, but fundamentally noble equals to anyone who might cite them. A terrific daily exercise is to visualize dealing with petty disrespect or disregard from women you find attractive but who exhibit rude, cold behavior toward you. Picture yourself indifferent to their attitudes and unaffected by their changing opinions, like an emperor undisturbed by rebellious citizen. Their contempt cannot diminish your rightful throne of self-worth and generosity. You can take this ethical exercise even further by mentally sending them goodwill. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Or, as it can be said, the best revenge is to be unlike the person who inflicted anger. Wish them clarity and wisdom to see beyond their materialistic delusions of worthiness. Recognize that their behavior stems from inner insecurities, fears, and pettiness. You have consciously shed this mindset of self. Superiority is not about ego, but owning your supreme self. Sovereignty as a human being. It's an unshakable self-esteem that no one can trespass because you choose to ennoble yourself according to virtue alone. The only true measure of merit? If someone attempts to diminish you through body language, averted eyes, or audible sneer of contempt, allow it to strike you like a gentle spring rain. For it holds no substantive insult. Your noble flowering remains vibrant and intact, nourished by the fertile soil of wisdom and right action. Pity them for their blindness, if you like. But do not be induced to assume an inferior position that your philosophical kingship never abdicates in the Stoics' view. Rejecting self. Sovereignty is akin to a king abandoning his throne and crown to grovel amongst peasants at the first sign of discord. Maintain your inviolable self-respect when you interact with women from that formidable inner citadel of sovereignty. Her interest or lack thereof transforms into utterly non-threatening data, neither damaging nor elevating for you. Esteem yourself according to your immutable virtues and self-governance, not the fluctuating opinions of others with practice. No one's regard or disregard can disturb your supreme self-possession, demonstrating mutual respect and confidence closely tied to cultivating a Chapter 4. Demonstrating mutual respect and confidence mindset of self-superiority is showing respect and confidence even in the face of disregard from others. As Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. When a woman ignores you or exhibits rude, off-putting behavior, the tempting instinct is to retaliate with disrespect of your own, to punish her rudeness by acting impolitely in return. But this revenge-oriented mindset only serves to diminish yourself. The Stoics understood that how we respond to perceived insults or wrongs is a statement about our character, not a judgment of the offender. We maintain the high ground by staying calm, poised, and respectful, regardless of others' conduct. Let's take the example of being out with friends and multiple women giving you the cold shoulder throughout the evening. Their disinterest is practically palpable as you attempt light conversation. They prevent their gaze, fiddle with their phones, or even make subtle mocking gestures when you're not looking in that situation. Most people's egos would be stung the urge to lash out directly through insults or indirectly by turning away. In an offended huff could feel overwhelmingly appealing. You want them to sense your displeasure at their rudeness. But pause and consider what is truly being accomplished by escalating disrespect. You may provide momentary catharsis for your hurt feelings, but at what cost? The Stoics believed that reacting arrogantly or contemptuously in the face of slights actually shows a lack of confidence. Remember, the less someone is troubled by insult, the stronger their character is. Actual self-assurance does not need retaliation or pro oneself in response to perceived disses. It exhibits poise and dignity, period. The wiser move is to extend politeness, respect, and an air of unruffled nonchalance. the treatment you wish to receive kill their negativity with profound indifference. For you realize their conduct reveals their insecurities, not your shortcomings, as Marcus Aurelius reminded himself. Their souls once had the seeds of what is good, that is enough. Consider this wise advice from Epicus. If you want to make progress, put up with being seen as ignorant or relentless when you meet with opposition from others. Expect that there will be those who, for their reasons, meet your friendly overtures with cold disregard or even ridicule. The Stoic response: politely return respect and refuse to be thrown off balance internally. You see, confidence is an integral part of the Stoic philosophical framework. It does not stem from constantly seeking the approval of others, but from living with integrity, according to your highest virtues and rational principles. As the ancient sage Musonius Rufus taught, confidence comes from leading a vigorous, truthful life. The best way to establish self-confidence is by focusing on your qualities worth believing in. It's not arrogant. Behavior self-esteem is based on your moral fiber and accomplishments. You may have worked diligently to become an expert in your career, making positive impacts. Maybe you routinely walk the talk of your highest values through community service or caring for loved ones, or you've consciously cultivated positive traits like patience, resilience, and friendliness in the ups and downs of daily life. Bring to mind vivid memories of when you felt proud of displaying these virtues, times you overcame adversity, rose to difficult occasions, or put others' needs ahead of your ego. This realization of your earned self-worth stemming from your actions rather than evaluations will provide an unshakable foundation of self-confidence. Then imagine carrying that well-learned confidence into scenarios where a romantic interest treats you dismissively. You contain your dignity rather than lashing out defensively or withdrawing in a huff. You don't sink to her level of discourtesy, but exhibit the poise, charisma, and graciousness her behavior currently lacks. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you shouldn't give circumstances the power to rouse anger, for they don't care at all. So why give it your energy? She may have her reasons now, but they do not necessitate you forfeiting your nobility or self-composure with practice. You can reach a point where no disregard or rudeness from a woman prompts any uptick in your calm self-assurance. Respond with the same spirit of patient friendliness and ease as if she'd greeted you warmly. The Stoic moves through the world under external affirmation, a perfect rudder steering through any social circumstance. When you demonstrate this profound self-possession, often you'll find the other party cannot sustain their negativity, like adding a gentle rainstorm to dry kindling. Your relaxed equanimity extinguishes their small bonfires of impoliteness. The Stoics saw this as a profound form of teaching through living examples. If someone gets angry with you, respond with noble silence and tranquility. Kill them with unanswerable self-confidence and poise. Though their ignorance may initially meet your gestures of goodwill with discourteousness, your honorable conduct models the transcendence of pettiness often. This kindles a spark of respect or introspection where none existed before. Of course, there will always be those too hardened ever to drop their masks of arrogance or rudeness, no matter your diplomacy. But the Stoics saw even this as potential for elevating one's strength. In Stoic words, it is better to be impudent than to be servile. By maintaining your dignity, despite hostility, you exemplify the unconquered human spirit. In summary, destroy her ego is never by mirroring disregard, insults, or negativity. Instead, it's by embodying the supreme self-confidence, respect, and grace that her lousy behavior currently lacks, like the mighty oak. Weathering a storm with patience, you stand unwavering and magnanimous. This preserves your honor and provides a living parable on the virtuous and enlightened way to conduct oneself, avoiding the trap of seeking. Chapter 5. Avoiding the trap of seeking attention. Attention, a significant pitfall. The Stoics warned against is the endless pursuit of attention, admiration, and external validation. As Epicus bluntly stated, man is disturbed not by things, but by the views he takes of them. When we become attached to constantly seeking the approval of others and incredibly romantic interests, we inevitably open ourselves to suffering and disturbance. However harsh or indifferent their shifting opinions of us, gain supremacy over our inner peace. Let's take the example of modern-day social media. We are flooded daily with images of idealized lives and carefully curated selfies, all aimed at grabbing attention and approval through likes, shares, and compliments. This environment can breed an unhealthy fixation on crafting the perfect persona to garner interest and admiration. But we become enslaved as soon as we're invested in this relentless feedback loop. If a charming new photo gets lukewarm responses, we internalize it as a judgment of our worth. Or if a romantic interest doesn't publicly fawn over our latest profile pic, the hurt and anger well up instantly. The Stoics would urge us to step back and reflect. Have the objective facts about your inherent value as a person changed based on these temporary data points? Or are you disturbed by your attachment to others, opinions, and validation? Perhaps an attractive woman you were chatting with online has suddenly gone cold, no longer reciprocating your messages with the same enthusiasm. You can't stop rereading the conversation, questioning whether a particular comment or photo turned her off your mind, races with editorializing about what she thinks of you now. But pause and consult your rational faculty as Marcus Aurelius did. What is the underlying reality here? In truth, all that occurred were some bits of digital text hitting or not hitting an inbox, her willingness to keep chatting with you one day versus the next. Fundamentally, alters nothing about your value as a person worthy of self-respect. The pain arises solely from your investment in her responses, functioning as judgments on your worth rather than simple neutral data streams to observe impartially. You cultivate an unshakable inner peace by being unattached to whether those messages ding. The Greek philosophers frequently use the vivid metaphor of an immovable rock weathering the oceans. Stormy waves, a woman's periodic ignoring or ghosting, may feel like a bee in force against your sense of self at the moment. But like that rock, you can remain unwavering and unaffected by consciously separating her behavior from your core solidness. As Seneca advised, begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life. When you view her interest or disinterest through this wide-angle lens, it loses all power to disturb you. Her attention is one data point in the vast expanse of your life's journey. The Stoics also warned that by incessantly seeking the affirmation of a romantic interest, you inadvertently elevate them to a pedestal that makes genuine connection impossible. You have instantly created uneven footing, where they perceive themselves as superior and you as subservient or needy. Consider a scenario where you match with an objectively beautiful woman on a dating app. Almost immediately your focus narrows to deeply analyzing every tiny interaction. Why she didn't immediately respond to your opening line, what her one-word answers might indicate about her interest level, obsessing over what photos and comments will maximize her admiration. But through this hyper-vigilant lens, you have already surrendered the solid ground of self-respect and confidence. By unconsciously putting the stakes of her attention on such a lofty pedestal, you drain interactions of their natural ease. She can sense this needy approval, seeking energy, which makes genuine letting down of barriers difficult. The wiser move is to maintain an unflustered spirit of nonchalant self-validation. In Stoic words, the highest good is a mind unmoved by injury. Remind yourself that her ultimate judgments have no bearing on your worthiness. View her interest or disinterest with neither joy nor sadness but serene impartiality. When you emanate this grounded, easygoing presence free of neediness, you create the welcoming conditions for an authentic connection to blossom, or not potentially. But your sense of self-worth is never held hostage by her opinions or involvement. The Stoics saw this detachment from external adulation as the ultimate affirmation of oneself and all humans, fundamental equality by seeking contentment strictly from leading a life of utmost integrity and virtue. No one wields power over your sense of completion. An old philosopher eloquently said, "Discard the cravings and fears that extend outwards, and assimilate yourself into the great consciousness." This great consciousness refers to the perfectly self-contained and unwavering mind that needs nothing beyond its cultivation of wisdom and right living after all. When you reflect honestly, how much substance or permanence do the affirmations or disaffirm of others honestly hold? Their attentiveness and praise are excellent when present, but inevitably faces are forgotten and infatuations fade. You chase an endless and unsatisfying cycle, by anchoring your self-respect to this passing stream of image and ego, but root your sense of inner completion within your steadfast commitment to virtuous thoughts, words, and deeds each day. Now you drink from an eternal wellspring. No temporary attention or lack thereof can upset that reservoir in Stoic words. The great thing is to guard your mind from that external distemper when a romantic interest suddenly ghosts or ignores you. Your mind will naturally understand why and ruminate over what opinion they formed of you. But the disciplined Stoic allows those distempers to pass indifferently, like clouds moving through an unchanging blue sky. True, this path of detachment from external approval involves diligent practice and retraining of old emotional habits. But in doing so, you liberate yourself from the exhausting strings of perpetually seeking attention and validation from others. Your sense of self-respect and inner peace becomes inviolable, imperturbable, and often maintaining composure and self-possession in the face of disregard. Ironically, sparks more admiration and intrigue than seeking approval through antics. As Stoics said, their egos are like so much smoke dissipating into air. Let them dissolve back into themselves. Pay them no mind the next time someone you're interested in gives you mixed signals by being hot and cold. Try to remain calm and unfazed. Don't get too attached or push them away. Observe their behavior objectively as something temporary that doesn't affect your self-confidence. This is where absolute freedom lies, shifting. Focus to personal growth at the heart of Stoic philosophy is that. Chapter 6, Shifting Focus to Personal Growth. Our fundamental sense of worth and fulfillment must derive from within, not from external attentions or accomplishments. As Seneca eloquently stated, he is a slave, but shall that stand in his way? Show me a man who is not a slave. One is a slave to lust, another to greed, another to ambition, and all men are slaves to fear, and he who is not a slave to riches. Pleasures or fears is a free man. When we become overly fixated on chasing romantic admiration or validation from others, we enter into a voluntary form of subservience and enslavement. Our emotional well-being gets tethered to the shifting tides of their approval, robbing us of our autonomy. Instead, the Stoics directed intense focus inward on cultivating one's character through reasoned growth, virtue, and resilience. This formed an unshakable bedrock of self-respect, impervious to the opinions of others. Let's take a common modern scenario. You've recently gone through a breakup after a long-term relationship. In the aftermath, it's tempting to seek ego, soothing, and a quick salve for your bruised self-worth by avidly pursuing new romantic entanglements. You might download dating apps or put yourself into overdrive at social events, desperately overcompensating for the loss and rejection you feel. But this rush towards evidence of your revalidated mate value only reinforces your rootless attachment to external affirmations. Each match or flirtatious interaction becomes elevated to undue importance for your self-esteem, setting you up for future cycles of elation or devastation based on their shifting tides of interest. The Stoics would urge a different path, looking inward to strengthen your self-provided sources of worth and fulfillment. As Seneca wrote, there is no nobler or more difficult task than the pursuit of virtue. For it is not enough to learn virtue, you must also put that learning into practice. So rather than seeking worth from fickle romantic entanglements, invest that same energy into the growth of character and personal development. Take up a stimulating new hobby or artistic pursuit you've always wanted to explore. Read philosophical wisdom, and challenge yourself to live more deliberately according to your highest value use, or make a concerted effort to strengthen your physical and mental health through exercise, mindfulness, and nutrition. The aim is not perfection or even outward acclaim. It is simply about diligently nurturing activities, mindsets, and skills that elevate your sense of purpose and unbreakable contentment from within. Much like tending to a private garden, you take quiet pride in its beauty, blossoming due to your loving efforts. Of any outward observers, as you develop this grounded sense of self-actualization, you no longer hunger for outer sources of validation or self-worth, a casual flirtation or dating mismatch. Neither defines your identity, nor rattles your sturdy equanimity after all. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, take full account of what excellencies are, and don't let the persuasions of others distress you. If you fail to satisfy the ignorant who judge you by false standards, Choose to satisfy your nobility first. Now, that's not to say you should entirely avoid situations where a romantic interest may arise. The Stoics believed in the virtuous pursuit of love and companionship, but they would advise against making it the fixated be-all end-all for your sense of inner peace. Imagine you attend a social gathering filled with unfamiliar faces, the perfect scenario for an inspirational meet-cute movie scene. But rather than walking in radiating a thirsty, needy energy of desperate desire for connection, focus instead on how to embody the Stoic virtues you've deliberately cultivated. Can you exemplify patience, openness, and composure while initiating witty, inquisitive conversations? Do you uphold your dignity and genuine friendliness if met with disinterest or indifference? And by centering your confidence in the person you've methodically molded yourself into, would you be unflustered by any individual interaction's outcome? You might unexpectedly connect with someone on a genuine level when you are confident and secure in yourself. But even if that doesn't happen, you'll go home content, knowing that you've lived true to your beliefs and don't need anyone else's approval to feel worthy. This path of deriving wholeness from within takes diligent practice and reprogramming of old habits. Too often our pleasure and pain centers have gotten habituated to seeking validation hits like lab rats, pushing a lever for brain stimulation, just as addictions to things like social media trigger releases of dopamine. Getting attention from a romantic interest provides temporary gratification that our psyches then crave. However, the Stoics advocated systematically loosening these behavioral shackles and shifting our fixations away from impermanent external rewards. As Epictetus said, you are merely a paltry soul carrying around a corpse strip. Away the bodily and social status signifiers and realize there is an aspirational core of purposeful essence longing to be prioritized. Marcus Aurelius similarly advised the regular practice of separation of mind from bodily form through present-minded reasoning. For example, if turned away by a romantic prospect, mindfully observe from a distance perspective any pangs of sadness or self-doubt that arise. Do they arise from your bodily cravings and sense impulses or your immortal intellect, which remains inviolably whole by developing this mindful separation as a muscle? You teach yourself to no longer identify wholeness with the transient attention of others. You return to the citadel of balanced reason and self-actualization that forms your most accurate core fulfillment. Ultimately, the Stoics saw this pursuit of virtue and knowledge as the highest pursuit of human beings, the source of lasting contentment that renders trivial the day-to-day whims of romantic attraction. In Stoic words wrote, to be able to call your life your own is a blessing, but to owe that to your self-mastery is the greatest of blessings, and an entirely self-made happiness to be derived from no source outside yourself. So set your sights on the substantive joys and worthy growth you can bestow upon yourself. Become a master's student and practitioner of wisdom, integrity, and temperance view, flattering attentions from others as incidentals along the way, lovely when present, but fundamentally inconsequential for your self-actualizing journey. When you detach your self-worth from seeking external validation, you gain access to true and valuable happiness within your control. Being free from the need for approval allows you to attract genuine connections or to continue growing independently with joy-showing emotional. Chapter 7. Showing emotional strength and resilience. Strength and resilience, one of the core practices prescribed by Stoic philosophy, is to remain firmly anchored in the present moment, unmoved by the turbulence of the past or anxieties about the future. As Marcus Aurelius sagely advised, confine yourself to the present when a woman ignores or rejects you. It's natural for the mind to instinctively churn over what happened and what it may portend. You may ruminate endlessly about why she lost interest, beating yourself up over what you did wrong. Or you make catastrophes about never finding a partner perpetually doomed to disregard. But the Stoics would remind you that these perceptions, amplified by runaway emotions, bear little relevance to the objective reality of this present moment. By staying calmly rooted in the immutable, now you neutralize much of the suffering created by subjecting yourself to mental time travel. Let's take the example of a difficult situation at work. You must the confidence to chat with an attractive female coworker, only to be met with cold dismissiveness and arguably rude indifference. Your friendly overtures are ignored or shut down with clipped responses as she checks her phone or looks away for most people. The emotional byproduct of this encounter would linger toxically. Feelings of inadequacy, anger toward her self-doubting playbacks of all your comments. This toxic mental stew could dominate your inner realm for hours or days afterwards. Every replay rekindles the sting, compounding the misery. But pause and ask what part of this exhausting emotional fallout has any bearing on the objective facts of this present moment. The awkward social interactions have already passed. She has retreated to her sphere, likely unburdened by any extra psychic baggage. So why lug it forward into your precious reality moment after moment? The Stoics considered this a profound form of self-inflicted suffering. As Seneca wrote, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality." By allowing your mind's discrimination faculty to become engulfed by churning impressions and stories about the past interaction, you actively create an experience of pain detached from any factual threat. Imagine that right after her curt dismissal, you intentionally exhaled and released the whole mental event like a breath dissipating into the ether. Though the feelings may have momentarily stung you, centered yourself in this new reality where she resides on the periphery and you remain sovereign. This relaxed presence is what the Stoics termed apathy, a state of unruffled equanimity, where one's tranquility allows for clear judgment, unclouded by emotional disturbances from that locus of self-possession. You make a thoughtful assessment. Her behavior likely had roots in her insecurities, workplace, politics, or passing stressors that fundamentally had nothing to do with you. Then you promptly shift attention to the next square on the chessboard of your life, rather than dwelling in feelings that no longer exist. You bring your full faculties to engaging with whatever productive reality arises next. It's time to refocus on an important project, or maybe you'll reach out to a friend with whom you've meant to catch up. The Stoics were indeed not robots devoid of emotions. They understood that reactions like hurt, anger, and disappointment were inevitable human responses, as especially to perceived insults or rejections. The aim was never to eliminate natural emotional responses, but to refuse to supply them with repetitive storylines and mental airtime that could turn them into cyclical sufferings. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The universe is change, our life is what our thoughts make it by staying rooted in eternal." Now uncomplicated us less, imagining one could experience emotions while being utterly unencumbered by them. They come, they go, and the moment remains with committed practice. You can reach the point where hurtful encounters like that rude co-worker elicit as much inner ruffle as a mild spring breeze. Brushing your face, you feel the sensations, let them pass, and sail forth like a steady ship into the next moment with no emotional barnacle weighing you down. This emotional resiliency and strength stems from a core Stoic precept, that while we may not control every external circumstance, we have dominion over how we respond internally. No one, however callous, has the power to disturb our peace of mind without our cooperation forcibly. As Epicus declared, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When you grasp your power to accept and shed passing experiences radically, you become impervious to the emotional tractor beams of everything from rude romantic interest to contemptuous strangers you see. Our feelings often derive not from objective reality itself, but the subjective narratives we rapidly construct to explain and contextualize events. Did she ignore me because I'm unworthy? Does she pity or look down on me more than the neutral facts themselves? These interior fictions generate the most potent stresses, but the Stoic remains coolly untriggered, assessing each situation through the filter of their highest reasoning and owning their response. If you've genuinely displayed virtues like confidence, goodwill, and dignity, a person's disregard reflects more about their character deficits than any truth about yours. In this way, the emotionally strong individual provides an admirable counterpoint to the seething cauldron of pride and reactive dramas of those lacking self-mastery. They move through conflicts with uplifting grace and immunity from disruptive mental disease. So by all means, feel the initial pangs of disappointment, frustration, or even anger in moments of disregard or rejection. Allow those transient sensations to course through your human vessel, accepting them with forgiveness and non-judgment. but refuse to perpetuate them through the compulsive looping of past narratives and future fears, like a calm creek unfazed by passing breezes or the churning storms. Upstream, you remain an unwavering conduit for meeting each fresh new moment with maximum vitality and discernment. This inner oasis of presence provides a sanctuary from scorching emotions that would otherwise drain your energy reserves and peace you. Stand refreshed, renewed, the embodiment of that most attractive human trait. Soul-deep composure, ignoring her existence, and creating Chapter 8, ignoring her existence and creating intrigue. Intrigue. The mind is a powerful force. As the Stoics knew, our thoughts and focus quite literally shape our experienced reality. Marcus Aurelius eloquently put it, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts when we allow our internal energies to become consumed and dyed by thoughts centered on one particular woman's attention or admiration. We undermine our sovereignty as individuated beings walking our path." Perhaps you've experienced this feeling. You notice an intriguing woman at a social gathering in your workplace or running mundane errands. Suddenly your focus narrows to her, like a laser scanning for potential interest or receptiveness. You play out imagined scenarios in your mind, evaluating whether and how to make an approach. You've given up your sense of control and self-assurance by becoming fixated on that one thing. Your satisfaction now depends solely on whether she responds to or rejects your feelings in the process. You've lost an essential part of your self-respect and authority over your path in life. The Stoics understood that there is profound transformative power in the opposite approach, radically accepting the object of your desires, irrelevance to your worth, and proceeding through life unhunted by the need for their acknowledgement or approval on a philosophical plane. This detachment from approval seeking represents the highest form of self-actualization. You alone determine your value. It cannot be undermined or reinforced by the mere impressions of others with your locus of validation. Turning inward, you become emotionally impervious to the shifting winds of attraction or disinterest. Practically, such poise and unreactive assuredness have an intriguing effect with the incredible strength to carry forth through life unburdened by whether one person flicks their lures back or ignores you entirely. There emerges an unmistakable essence. Confidence gravitates toward confidence. Let's consider a modern example from the world of celebrity culture. Why do personalities like Keanu Reeves or Larry David capture such fascination? Partly it's because of their apparent nonchalant self-confidence. You feel like they navigate life without being influenced or worried by other people's opinions or judgments about their status. Their indifference to public opinion creates an intriguing allure. Imagine spotting a woman at a party. She's gorgeous and exudes confidence. You feel a natural urge to connect with her and elevate yourself in her presence. However, instead of fixating on how to approach her, you consciously choose to adopt an attitude of radical indifference in reality. Her presence or absence has no impact on your life goals and sense of purpose. She is completely irrelevant to your current personal journey and emotional state. Whether she pays attention to you or not is as significant as trying to obtain a hotel pen during your travels entirely inconsequential from this locus of unreactive impartiality. You proceed through the social gathering with a refreshing poise and freedom. You laugh authentically with friends, immersing yourself in the experience rather than perpetually scoping the periphery for her interest. You emit the magnetic confidence of a person whole unto themselves, and often through the strange gravity of such self-assuredness you'll find the object of your passing fancy inexplicably orbiting into your sphere. As the Stoics knew, detachment from desiring admiration creates a powerful effect of intrigue and presence that naturally draws curiosity from others. You've created the space for a natural unfolding without attachment or investment by dismissing her relevance from your mental plane. Should your paths intersect, you can quickly greet her unburdened by suppressed expectations, and should she unilaterally exit, you've maintained the lucid course following your highest truthful self. The Stoics referred to this mode as living by nature, flowing with, rather than resisting the unfolding currents of a scenario. By refusing to grip tightly to prefabricated hopes or aversions, you become a spontaneous vessel for creative positive forces to manifest. Of course, this transcendent outlook takes diligent practice to embody, especially in our culture steeped in romantic mythologies and the idealization of impossible pursuits of reciprocation. Our psyches get easily hijacked by intrusive thought, loops valorizing or objectifying perceived prospects on a pedestal. But with the Stoics' philosophical toolkit of self-rainment, we can rewire those habitual fixations into flashes of observation without attachment. We fully acknowledge the physical attractions and approach invitations that may arise while remaining resolutely unbound from any mutual engagement or interest requirement. The self-possession is the essence. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, give yourself a gift, the present moment. Master Yoli handled they discourage your desires for anything great or generous, but only deny yourself this satisfaction. You reserve your undiminishing dignity and present-mindedness by staying utterly unperturbed by whether your desires spark to fulfillment or rapidly extinguish. The allure has shifted. For intrigue herself becomes enamored of those who already go magnificently attended by their wholeness in the vast, open, non-reactionary field of the Stoic's calm presence. Potential connections with romantic prospects arise spontaneously when meant to, but like all ephemera, they can exist without grasping or requiring you move. Undiminished, radiating the compelling artistry of a life imbued with profoundly satisfying purpose. Ultimately, as Seneca proclaimed, there can be no greater blessing has been granted anyone than self-mastery in radically ignoring others. Very existences to determine your path. You've achieved the highest expression of confidence, not the explosive powder of ego, but an inextinguishable inner light, emanating dignity, wonder, and truly empowered selfhood. Increasing your value through Chapter 9. Increasing your value through self-improvement. Self-improvement at the core of Stoic philosophy lies the profound truth that our most precious resource is not worldly wealth or status, but the wealth we cultivate within through virtuous living and wisdom. As Marcus Aurelius beautifully expressed, the only wealth which you will keep forever is the wealth you have given away on the surface. This seems paradoxical. How can one increase their net worth by giving away or denying material riches? But the stone recognized that the treasures which elevate and liberate the human spirit are ones we must continually bestow outward through our actions and way of being acts of kindness, resilience, integrity, courage, temperance. These are the incorruptible wealth that enshrines an individual's character and forge their worthiness from an inner wellspring of virtue. And the more we live by these supreme ideals, the more solid and self-assured we become in the face of life's inevitable setbacks and shallow judges. Let's consider the scenario of being overlooked or ignored by someone you are romantically interested in, for those who base their self-worth on the desire for that person's attention. The emotional pain can be intense, negatively impact how they view themselves. But what if your sense of value transcended the narrow confines of romantic achievement or physicality? What if you had systematically invested in developing wealth reservoirs that one person's indifference or rudeness could never impact the wealth of emotional intelligence, mental fortitude, purposeful knowledge and service to others? Then likely, while you may feel a tinge of natural disappointment at the rejection, your core remains stubbornly unaffected. You've protected Ed and elevated your selfhood by assiduously focusing on growth in areas that become self-perpetuating assets, rather than deficits based on temporary circumstances. The Stoics refer to this as the art of living concept, intentionally sketching out our life's journey as a masterwork of characterological development and ever-expanding wisdom. Refining our skills, knowledge, and virtues with zealous comment each day, we construct an unshakable interiority that towers above petty assaults on our temporary pride. Marcus Aurelius was a powerful emperor presiding over the Roman Empire. Yet he obsessively worked on perfecting himself as the ultimate legacy, famously journaling his philosophical meditations. From this vantage point, he could remain level-headed and unconsumed by perception. When snubbed or disrespected for his sense of substance came from reserved deeper within. Imagine you've spent months or years diligently studying a field you're passionate about. Whether history, computer science, entrepreneurship, or anything that stokes your innate curiosity, with steadfast discipline and commitment, you've absorbed a wealth of insights, theories, and skills related to this discipline that have expanded your expertise and intellectual agility. Then one day you find yourself in a social setting with someone you're attracted to only to have them seem to look right through you, or treat you with cursory disregard for those deriving their primary personal worth from romantic admiration. This experience might create an inner spiral of self-doubt and emotional suffering. But for you, while their indifference may strike a glancing, discourteous blow, you remain poised and calm at your core. Your most profound sense of identity, fulfillment, and purposeful perseverance arise from the intangible treasures you've methodically cultivated through your scholarly devotions, assets of knowledge and self-actualization that can never be tarnished by disrespect from transient others. This principle extends far beyond academic arenas. It could encompass developing emotional intelligence skills to become a world-class listener and nurturer of loved ones, achieving mountainous feats of willpower through fitness regimens and physical mastery, or devoting oneself to a craft or art form that demands continually refining creative capacities. Any domain that stretches our tolerance for struggle demands transcendental growth and imperiously commands our integral essences to rise and be enlightened. This is where the truest wealth of personhood gets painstakingly minted. The Stoics knew this essence intimately. They knew the unconquerable value radiates from the interiority we've excavated and adorned as sovereign self-authors, not the externally assigned merits we ephemerally rent. This is not to say the Stoa rejected pursuing excellence in worldly attainments like career, social status, or even classical beauty regimens, but they understood these achievements as more akin to delightful accessories adorning the substantive soul sufficiency they'd intentionally forged as their life's masterwork, through discipline, restraint, and radical self-honesty. For example, let's take the arena of skill building and career excellence. Imagine you've worked diligently for years to become one of the preeminent experts in your field. You may be a respected surgeon, having logged thousands of hours honing your skill and procedural knowledge, or you're an educator, steadfastly developing innovative teaching methods that tangibly uplift your students. Then one day, at a social function, an individual you find attractive for superficial reasons openly dismisses or mocks your professional accomplishments with an arrogant air for those deriving their core identities from emblems of achievement and status. Such a bruising slight might prompt punishing ego plunges and eruptions of resentment, but for you, anchored in the serene self-respect born from grueling self-actualization and transcendental skill cultivation, the diss poses no existential threat. Their dismissiveness reveals only their insecurities and ignorance, while leaving utterly undisturbed the monumental virtuous wealth you've painstakingly accrued in becoming a profoundly capable human being of service to others. As Marcus Aurelius Calli reminded, the universes change our life. Is how our mind interprets that change, so you patiently interpret their baseless arrogance as more tragic than dangerous, allowing the encounter to drift past like a meandering spring cloud. Your equanimity remains upright, your core trajectory gloriously unperturbed. The Stoics termed this eudaimonia, the joyous state of flourishing and wholehearted living arising from systematically watering the seeds of virtue and self-mastery, within insult setbacks and even life-shattering tragedies, may temporarily ruffle the sensitive surfaces, but they pose no threat to the greatness we've bestowed on the world by rigorously expanding our faculties for insight, grit, honor, and love. Remember, true good does not have an outward aspect but is intrinsic and cannot be taken away from someone. The joys we experience internally are the only true source of delight. So on the path ahead, commit yourself to intentionally acing treasures, invisible to the world's judging eyes, an unwavering treasury of character, strengths, self-empowerment, and soul, illuminating knowledge that elevates your standing in accord with nature's virtuous grandeur. You become unignorable when you've heroically achieved that centeredness of an unconditioned, non-negotiable sense of worth unto yourself. A supreme self-possession emerges that dwarfs the flickering flames of others, egos and narrow myopias, and often ironically, this blazing incandescence of wholeness proves most magnetic to those receptive souls, in turn striving for individuation. They find it not as an external force, but as a self-generated radiance that is inescapably intriguing, admirable. And Chapter 10, Living. According to Stoic virtues, irresistible. Living according to Stoic virtues for the Stoic philosophers The culmination of all their teachings centered on one mission: to live a life embodying the essential virtues of human excellence. As Marcus Aurelius put it, to live a good life. We have the potential for it, if we can learn to be indifferent to what makes no difference. This notion of what makes no difference points to the Stoics' keen ability to discern which aspects of daily existence held inviolable significance and which were ephemeral distractions devoid of substantive importance, by systematically training themselves to separate the inconsequential from the essential. Through reason, judgment, and self-discipline, the Stoics elevated themselves to walk as sages, living monuments to the highest ethical ideals at the very apex of human potential for them. Pursuits like wealth, pleasure, and social status paled compared to the supreme goal, the ceaseless cultivation of four cardinal virtues: wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Mastering these lofty virtues, they knew, was the only pursuit that led to sustaining eudaimonia, that flourishing state of wholehearted we-being and transcendent bliss. Let's take the virtue of wisdom in the Stoics' view. This involved a dedicated and humble pursuit of truth and correct reasoning, an openness to continually updating their philosophical doctrines based on evidence and logic, rather than clinging to distorted perceptions or hasty conclusions. Imagine a scenario where a romantic interest at a social gathering entrances you from the hopelessly smitten depths of your psyche. It's easy to construct all sorts of embellishments about their character, your potential compatibility, and an imagined storybook future together. But pause and ask, upon what reasoned analysis is this gauzy infatuation truly based? Do you know this individual's authentic virtues, values, and characteristics? Beyond superficial impressions, have you genuinely reflected with detached rationality on your motives at play? The Stoic path would urge applying disciplined wisdom here to calmly assess the scenario, with a skeptical eye withholding conviction, until your ultimate judgments are based on substantive knowledge and facts, not idealized projections or ego-driven wishes for. As Epicus cautioned, what is the first business of one who practices philosophy to get rid of self-conceit? Then we have the virtue of justice, which in Stoic philosophy encompassed far more than legal or civic conceptions of fairness. It represented an unwavering commitment to moral equity, integrity, and honoring the fundamental truth of humans as rational beings, united in a collective ethical ecosystem. So when you find yourself on the receiving end of disregard, disrespect, or even cruelty from a romantic interest who has callously written you off, the just response is not vengeful antagonism, but a noble Stoic restraint, an understanding that to lash out or descend into pettiness would ironically represent the greater moral injustice against your highest self. As Stoic reminded, whenever any person hates you, or any envies you, then that is the sting of their own unjust character. Nothing more, that agitation is no part of your own character. The Stoic embodies perfect justice, upholding virtuous character and fair dealing, regardless of external provocations. This brings us to the virtue of courage, that tenacious fortitude to uphold one's reasoned convictions even in the face of personal risk or societal opposition. The Stoics saw this form of valorous resilience as the harmonious counterpart to wisdom. After all, insights mean little without the stalwart courage to live by them in romantic contexts. This courage may manifest in myriad ways: the willingness to honestly voice your interest to someone you find compelling, despite the risk of rejection; the fortitude to remain butchered in your unflat, affable self-esteem, even if met with cruelty or ghosting; the audacity to unapologetically walk away from manipulative, toxic entanglements that corrupt your integrity. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, the universe is change, our life is what our thoughts make it. No tribulation, where dashed hopes of companionship or bruising personal dismissal bears any power to disturb you without your or cowardly resignation of noble character. Finally, we have the virtue of temperance or self-discipline. The Stoics saw this as an essential human capacity to regulate harmful impulses, desires, and emotional excesses in service of higher reasoning. After all, insight and courage quickly become possible with the will to constructively channel them. You may be inclined to obsessively lament over a potential romantic interest who blatantly ignored your conversational overtures. You might compulsively ruminate on what went wrong, or hatch plots to win their attention and regard. But the Stoic path of temperance demands asking what actual truth governs this situation, and what is the wisest, most prudent response that aligns with your highest integrity. Do you indulge the runaway excesses of the hurt ego, or calmly accept this person's passing indifference as irrelevant to your core values and sense of selfhood? Remember, it would be a blessing if we could become absolutely free from every passion of the mind, unmoved by pains and pleasures alike. True. Temperance has no attachment to situations unfolding per one's infatuated hopes. It simply presides with grace at their core. The Stoics espoused these supreme virtues not for grim austerity's sake. Still, they perceived it as attainable for the highest form of human flourishing by continually realigning themselves with wisdom, justice, courage, and our self-restraint not as abstract ideals but as lived experiences. Their daily conduct becomes a masterwork of what is possible when we prioritize actualizing our highest potential. As Sena beautifully summarized, a life spent doing praiseworthy actions is long enough, but through study you can make yourself immortal. To live by these Stoic virtues to embody rationality, integrity, resilience, and moderation, not just in the domains of romance or social justice, but in every choice and facet of one's being, is to author an enduring imprint on the world continually, an expressive living legacy, inspiring all those touched by one's noble character and incandescent soulful emanations. So embrace this path not from hollow dogma or showmanship, but to gradually alchemize your raw human experience into a life's work, befitting the masterful artistry intended for all beings. Let your every act, thought, and interaction be an indelible stroke of virtue etched into reality's cetal canvas, and from that lofty place of soul-awakened character in constant philosophical labor, what province in truth remains for someone else's passing disregard or romantic casted judgment to bear? Any indelible relevance you need not destroy nor demand validation for. You have immortalized your best self's most heroic efforts through a life's toil, nobly perseverance. Throughout this video, we've explored profound Stoic wisdom for maintaining self-respect, confidence, and personal growth. When faced with being ignored or disregarded by a romantic interest, we learn to cultivate emotional control by separating external events from our inner responses, neither suppressing feelings nor giving them unconscious power over us. We saw the paramount importance of deriving our core self-worth, not from ephemeral attention, but an unshakable sense of virtuous character development. We examined strategies for radiating a grounded calm, poise, and dignity, even when met with indifference or rudeness, thereby destroying others, illusions of inciting us to compromise our nobility. We looked at avoiding the trap of making romantic validation and excessive need by detaching from approval, seeking and focusing energy on substantive personal growth. Instead, ultimately, we explored living in full accordance with the supreme Stoic virtues of wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance, a path of continual self-actualization to elevate human existence. While the situations we encounter may sometimes trigger pangs of hurt, anger, or insecurity, the teachings of Stoicism provide an empowering philosophical framework for upholding our undiminished self-respect, confidence, and truth. By applying the rational and resilient perspectives shared here, you equip yourself with the strength to remain imperturbable in the face of disregard while centering purposeful attention on what matters most: your heroic journey of personal growth and character development. No one can make you feel unworthy without your participation. The path is open to all who cultivate the highest, most virtuous versions of themselves from their inexhaustible wellsprings of dignity. I encourage you to integrate these Stoic practices into your daily life, mainly when dealing with challenging interpersonal situations or setbacks. As always, I welcome your comments and insights about applying this philosophic iCal wisdom in empowering ways for those seeking more guidance. Check out the recommended resources and readings I've linked below. The path of the Stoics is one of lifelong learning and growth. Thanks for joining me, and walk on, unshaken, my friends. In a world where words seem to lose their value, where noise and superficiality dominate, some questions arise. Is it possible to demonstrate our worth without uttering a single word? Is it possible to know the value and intentions of those around us beyond words? The answer, according to ancient Stoic philosophy, is a clear yes. The Stoics believed that courage was one of the main qualities a human being should have, and that it could be demonstrated through actions rather than words. Today we invite you to embark on this journey of personal transformation, where you will discover how to recognize your worth and become an example to yourself and the world. I invite you to stay until the end, where you will find valuable lessons to strengthen all your plans in the face of any adversity. If it's your first time on my channel, please help me by subscribing and liking the video, so I can continue creating more content like this in the future. We will discover in this video how to dive into something real and authentic, understanding your worth through a perspective that has stood the test of time. Stoicism. Yes, you heard right. Stoicism. This ancient philosophy is not just about being insensitive or enduring pain, but rather about realizing what truly matters in life, especially in our relationships. Let's begin. Present yourself with dignity. Before you start imagining a Stoic as an austere, unsmiling figure from antiquity, let me clarify things. Stoicism is not about suppressing your emotions or being indifferent. It's about understanding where your energy deserves to be invested. So let's talk about what it means to present yourself with dignity in relationships. Sometimes we try so hard to impress someone that we end up losing ourselves in the process, dressing a certain way, speaking a certain way, all to gain that approval. And here's where our Stoic wisdom comes in. Your dignity isn't in the clothes you wear or the places you frequent, but in how you behave in your actions and choices. Imagine this: you're in a cafe, and you see two people on a date. One is all flashy, trying to impress, while the other is comfortable in their own skin. Which one do you think will leave a lasting impression? The genuine one. That's the power of presenting yourself with dignity. Stoics strive to live with integrity and self-respect. How does this translate into our modern world? It's simple. If you're passionate about something, make it yours. Let it shine. It's not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about feeling comfortable and secure in your own skin, knowing that you're worthy as you are. And here's another thing. Treat yourself with respect. The way you treat yourself sets the standard for how others will treat you. What you're telling the world is that it's acceptable for them to treat you the same way. But if you respect yourself, value your time, your energy, your emotions, you're sending a loud and clear message. I'm worthy of respect, and I expect to be treated as such in the context of real relationships. It's not just about how you see yourself or what you say, but rather how you react and behave in different situations. Are you reacting with desperation or dignity? Are you compromising your values just to fit in, or standing your ground even if it means standing alone? It doesn't mean you have to be perfect. We're all human. We make mistakes. We have our embarrassing moments, but it's about how you deal with those moments. Do you crumble under pressure or hold your head high and learn from it? Let's reflect on how we can start presenting ourselves with more dignity in our daily interactions. Perhaps one way is to establish clear and healthy boundaries in our relationships, communicating firmly but respectfully what we're willing to accept and what we're not. This allows us to protect our emotional integrity and establish a standard of mutual respect. Another way to present yourself with dignity is by learning to say no to things that don't align with our values and priorities. This may involve refusing commitments or situations that make us uncomfortable or go against our principles. By doing so, we reaffirm our right to live according to our convictions and demonstrate loyalty to ourselves. It may also involve treating others with a little more kindness and respect in our daily interactions, recognizing the humanity in each person we encounter, and showing empathy for their experiences and feelings allows us to build more authentic and meaningful relationships. When we begin to recognize and value our own dignity, we project a confidence and self-esteem that the external world perceives. This influences how others see and treat us, creating a positive cycle of mutual respect and appreciation for each individual's dignity. 2. Know your worth. I know what you're thinking. No, please, not another conversation about self-esteem, but stick with me. Because here you won't hear about looking in the mirror and repeating how amazing you are. So what does Stoicism have to do with knowing your worth in relationships? A lot. Actually, Stoics teach us that the key is to focus on what we can control, and your self-esteem is 100% under your control. It's not about how many likes you get on Instagram, or whether someone sends you a friend request on any other social network, but rather how you perceive and value yourself. Think of it differently. Imagine you're a precious gemstone. Not everyone recognizes the value of a rare gem. Some may overlook it without realizing what it is, but that doesn't change the value of gemstones. They remain valuable, rare, and unique. That's your true reflection. That's you, genuine, unique, and valuable. Your worth doesn't diminish just because someone doesn't see it. Now, let's be a little realistic. We all face rejection at some point, experience the feeling of not being good enough, especially in our hyper-connected world where it seems like everyone is living their best lives. But this is where Stoicism comes in to remind you that your worth is not tied to someone else's approval, but rather to how you live your life. Your virtues and your actions are you kind? Are you honest? Are you living in a way you're proud of? There's your true worth. Stoics were big on self-reflection, so take a moment to think about your qualities, not just superficial things, but the deeper values. What makes you feel good, whether it's being compassionate, resilient, or a great listener. These are qualities that make up your worth, and here's the secret. When you know this deeply and truly, it will change how you interact in your relationships. You won't tolerate nonsense. Not because you're arrogant, but because you respect yourself too much for that. And here's a little Stoic exercise for you. The next time you feel belittled, instead of spiraling into self-doubt, ask yourself what your strengths and values are. It's not about becoming arrogant, it's about silently acknowledging that you're worthy of external validation. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic emperors, says you have power over your mind, not external events. Understand this, and you will find strength. When we talk about relationships, we enter a territory where recognizing and appreciating our own worth becomes crucial. It's important to understand that our worth is not determined solely by others' external perception, but resides intrinsically in our own perception of ourselves. It's a daily reminder, a constant practice that invites us to cultivate and nurture our self-esteem and inner confidence each day upon waking up. We have the opportunity to affirm ourselves and our worth regardless of others' opinions or judgments. It's about remembering that we are valuable beings worthy of love and respect, not because someone else says so, but because we firmly believe it at our core. This journey toward self-awareness and self-acceptance leads us to recognize that our worth is not subject to external opinions, but rather resides in our own essence and authenticity. Each step on this path of self-discovery brings us a little closer to understanding our true worth. It's a gradual and ongoing process of personal growth, where we learn to recognize and appreciate our strengths, virtues, and unique qualities. As we delve into this inner journey, we discover that our worth is not contingent upon external validation, but rather lies in our own perception of ourselves. Understanding that our worth is something we can cultivate and strengthen over time empowers us to take the reins of our lives and relationships. It frees us from the need to seek external validation and allows us to live from a place of unwavering self-esteem and confidence. Ultimately, it's about finding strength in our own worth regardless of whether others recognize it, and remembering that we are worthy of love and respect simply for being who we are. 3. Acting with boundaries. Don't tell me, show me. This principle applies perfectly. When we talk about setting boundaries, it's one thing to tell someone what your boundaries are, but it's another to actually demonstrate them through your actions. Think about it this way. Anyone can say they won't tolerate being treated poorly, but the moment of truth comes when they actually face that situation. Do you hold firm to your boundaries or let them be crossed? Therein lies your true power. It's not in the saying, it's in the doing now. This may not be easy, especially when emotions are involved, but remember what our Stoic friends taught us. Everything is under our control, including the choice of how we react to situations. If someone crosses a line, it's your reaction that defines your boundaries, not your words. For example, if you've made it clear that you value honesty, and someone lies to you, how you handle that situation speaks volumes. Stepping away or addressing the issue directly and calmly shows that you take your boundaries seriously. Not creating drama, but rather respecting yourself, and being respected in a way that aligns with your values. This approach can change the game in relationships when people see that you have boundaries you won't allow to be crossed and also standards and values you're determined to uphold. They start to understand what you will and won't accept. It's about cultivating a sense of self-respect and sticking to it. And here's where it gets truly stoic. It's not just about the big things, but also about the everyday little boundaries. It's how you react when someone cancels plans last minute, or how you handle it when someone takes you for granted. You communicate through calm actions and words that this isn't okay. Mindfulness practice is much more than just being present in the moment. It's about diving deeply into the experience of here and now, observing mindfully every thought, emotion, and action that arises within us in this journey of self-awareness. We invite ourselves to question and reflect on how our actions reflect our personal boundaries and core values. By being fully aware of the present moment, we give ourselves the opportunity to assess whether our actions are aligned with our boundaries and authenticity. It's a constant process of self-evaluation, where we ask ourselves if we're acting in accordance with our deepest principles and values, or if we're deviating from our true selves due to external pressures or social expectations. This practice leads us to closely examine every interaction and situation, seeking clues about how we're responding and whether we're staying true to ourselves. It invites us to be witnesses to our own boundaries, to recognize when we feel comfortable or compromised, and to take steps to protect our integrity and emotional well-being. It's in the small moments of everyday life where the true test of our boundaries lies. It's in these seemingly insignificant situations where our true nature and the strength of our character are revealed. Therefore, mindfulness practice challenges us to be present in every moment, to be aware of how we're reacting to life's various circumstances, and to cultivate greater clarity and discernment in our actions and decisions as we navigate our daily lives and interact with others. We can adopt a somewhat stoic perspective in how we show and establish our personal boundaries. It's not just about imposing strict rules or being inflexible in our interactions. Ultimately, it's about cultivating that internal compass that guides us in how we act and react to different situations. This internal compass, inspired by Stoic principles, invites us to be mindful of our own boundaries and values, and to act in accordance with them at all times. It's not about shutting ourselves off from the outside world or erecting walls around us, but rather about establishing healthy boundaries that reflect who we are and what we value in life. When we begin to live in this way, people around us take notice. They begin to see us as individuals who not only have clear boundaries but also respect ourselves enough to have them respected by others. It's as if we're emitting an invisible signal that says, "This is who I am. This is what I stand for, and I'm not willing to compromise my principles for the convenience of others." This attitude not only allows us to build more authentic and respectful relationships, but also helps us cultivate a deeper sense of self-esteem and confidence. By living according to our boundaries and values, we become a beacon of integrity and authenticity in a world often filled with uncertainty and confusion. For limiting access, I know this may sound a bit old-fashioned, perhaps even a bit strict, but hear me out. It's not about playing hard to get, but rather about respecting and understanding your own value. What does Stoicism say about this? It teaches us the art of self-discipline and control, but not in a rigid and inflexible way. It's about knowing what is truly valuable and not squandering it carelessly in a world of instant gratification. It's like a breath of fresh air. Think about relationships, or when we're dating someone, often there's a rush to share everything, our time, our space, our deepest thoughts. But the Stoics would advise taking a step back, because something that is easily available often loses its value. It's human nature. If you're always available, if you always say yes to everything, where's the mystery, the depth, the anticipation? Now let's talk about how to limit access in a dignified and stoic manner. First, it's about how you present yourself. Dress elegantly but modestly. It's not just about fashion. It's a statement of intent that says, "I value myself." You're not hiding, but you're also not revealing too much for everything. There's a balance, a sense that I'm more than what meets the eye in a world where we're constantly connected. Being selective about who gets your time is powerful. It's not about playing games, but rather saying, "My time is valuable, and I choose to spend it wisely." If you're with someone, be fully present and committed, but when you're not, feel okay. about not being available because you're focused on your own life. Your passions, your growth. Stoicism also teaches us about emotional self-control. This doesn't mean becoming cold or distant, not at all. It means not allowing anything to affect you deeply. You maintain a certain inner calm, not giving away your emotional energy to just anyone. And mind you, I'm not saying to become a Stoic statue. We're all human, and connection is what makes life rich. But there's beauty in taking things slow and building a connection that isn't based solely on instant access and immediate gratification. It's about building something that has depth, something that endures. Always remember that limiting access isn't about playing with others' feelings or manipulating situations to our advantage. On the contrary, it's an act of deep self-respect and consistency with our own core values. Limiting access means demonstrating not just with empty words, but with concrete actions that we value ourselves and deserve to be valued by others in the same way. It's a process that involves being a bit more selective in our interactions, a bit more careful in our decisions, and a bit more moderate in our expressions. It's about finding that delicate balance between sharing openly and at the same time retaining a part of ourselves, thus protecting our emotional integrity and self-esteem. By adopting this approach, we're following in the footsteps of the Stoics in our modern world of dating and relationships. We're committing to living according to our deepest principles and establishing in clear boundaries that reflect our dignity and self-esteem. Believe me, this approach makes all the difference in how we're perceived and treated by others. By valuing ourselves and acting with the firmness and cohesion of the Stoics, we're sending a clear message to the world around us that we deserve to be treated with respect and consideration, and that we're not willing to compromise our integrity out of fear of loneliness or lack of acceptance. Focus on actions, not words, as we've explored. Stoicism is about practical wisdom, about judging people by their actions, not just their sweet words. We live in a world full of charming words and empty promises, especially when it comes to relationships. However, the Stoics teach us to look beyond that, to observe actions because they reveal the truth. It's easy to say all the things we believe to be right or what others want to hear, to make promises, paint a perfect future. Your actions back up your words. That's the real story. Let's be realistic for a moment. We've all been there. As soon as we meet someone, they start telling us all these nice and surprising things and we get carried away, but over time the actions don't fully match. They say they'll call and they don't. They make plans and cancel last minute, yet their words hold us. This is where our inner Stoic self needs to intervene. Stoicism teaches us not to be swayed by words, nor to be ruled by emotions. It's about being rational, seeing things as they are. If someone's actions don't align with their words, that's a red flag. It's like the universe telling us, hey, pay attention, something's off here. This shift in focus truly transforms the dynamics of our relationships. Instead of getting lost in words and romantic promises, we start paying attention to the subtle details, how they react in moments of stress, if they follow through on what they say, if they're there for us, not just in words, but genuinely and tangibly. And here's the truly fascinating part of this process. When we focus on actions, we set a standard and send a clear and forceful message that says, I'm not just listening to what you say, I'm watching what you do. People around us realize that they can't simply recite sweet words to earn a place in our lives. They need to demonstrate their value and true intentions through concrete and consistent actions. This shift in perspective empowers us to discern with greater clarity and wisdom in our relationships. It allows us to recognize the difference between words and actions, and helps us build more authentic and meaningful bonds based on mutual trust and genuine respect. Ultimately, it leads us to cultivate healthier and more satisfying relationships, where coherence between words and actions is paramount. Adopting a Stoic attitude in love entails being rational, observant, and wise in our interactions and personal relationships. It's recognizing that at the end of the day, it's concrete actions that truly reveal people's feelings and intentions much more than mere words. Therefore, by committing to this philosophy of life, we empower ourselves to make more informed and conscious decisions in our relationships based on a deep understanding of reality and an honest appreciation of ourselves and others. 5. Prepare to walk away in Stoicism. There's this beautiful concept of detachment, not in a cold or insensitive way, but in the sense of understanding what we can and cannot control and one of the most powerful things we can control is our decision to stay or leave a situation that is not passions your growth. Stoicism also teaches us about emotional self-control. This doesn't mean becoming cold or distant, not at all. It means not allowing anything to affect you deeply. You maintain a certain inner calm, not giving away your emotional energy to just anyone. And mind you, I'm not saying to become a Stoic statue. We're all human, and connection is what makes life rich. But there's beauty in taking things slow and building a connection that isn't based solely on instant access and immediate gratification. It's about building something that has depth, something that endures. Always remember that limiting access isn't about playing with others, feelings, or manipulating situations to our advantage. On the contrary, it's an act of deep self-respect and consistency with our own core values. Limiting access means demonstrating not just with empty words but with concrete actions that we value ourselves and deserve to be valued by others. In the same way, it's a process that involves being a bit more selective in our interactions, a bit more careful in our decisions, and a bit more moderate in our expressions. It's about finding that delicate balance between sharing openly and at the same time retaining a part of ourselves, thus protecting our emotional integrity and self-esteem. By adopting this approach, we're following in the footsteps of the Stoics. In our modern world of dating and relationships, we're committing to living according to our deepest principles and establishing in clear boundaries that reflect our dignity and self-esteem. Believe me, this approach makes all the difference in how we're perceived and treated by others. By valuing ourselves and acting with the firmness and cohesion of the Stoics, we're sending a clear message to the world around us that we deserve to be treated with respect and consideration, and that we're not willing to compromise our integrity out of fear of loneliness or lack of acceptance. Focus on actions, not words, as we've explored. Stoicism is about practical wisdom, about judging people by their actions, not just their sweet words. We live in a world full of charming words and empty promises, especially when it comes to relationships. However, the Stoics teach us to look beyond that, to observe actions because they reveal the truth. It's easy to say all the things we believe to be right or what others want to hear, to make promises, paint a perfect future. Your actions back up your words. That's the real story. Let's be realistic for a moment. We've all been there. As soon as we meet someone, they start telling us all these nice and surprising things and we get carried away. But over time, the actions don't fully match. They say they'll call and they don't. They make plans and cancel last minute. Yet their words hold us. This is where our inner Stoic self needs to intervene. Stoicism teaches us not to be swayed by words nor to be ruled by emotions. It's about being rational, seeing things as they are. If someone's actions don't align with their words, that's a red flag. It's like the universe telling us, hey, pay attention. Something's off here. This shift in focus truly transforms the dynamics of our relationships. Instead of getting lost in words and romantic promises, we start paying attention to the subtle details, how they react in moments of stress, if they follow through on what they say, if they're there for us, not just in words, but genuinely and tangibly. And here's the truly fascinating part of this process. When we focus on actions, we set a standard and send a clear and forceful message that says, I'm not just listening to what you say, I'm watching what you do. People around us realize that they can't simply recite sweet words to earn a place in our lives. They need to demonstrate their value and true intentions through concrete and consistent actions. This shift in perspective empowers us to discern with greater clarity and wisdom in our relationships. It allows us to recognize the difference between words and actions and helps us build more authentic and meaningful bonds based on mutual trust and genuine respect. Ultimately, it leads us to cultivate healthier and more satisfying relationships, where coherence between words and actions is paramount. Adopting a Stoic attitude in love entails being rational, observant, and wise in our interactions and personal relationships. It's recognizing that at the end of the day, it's concrete actions that truly reveal people's feelings and intentions much more than mere words. Therefore, by committing to this philosophy of life, we empower ourselves to make more informed and conscious decisions in our relationships based on a deep understanding of reality and an honest appreciation of ourselves and others. 5. Prepare to walk away in Stoicism. There's this beautiful concept of detachment, not in a cold or insensitive way, but in the sense of understanding what we can and cannot control. And one of the most powerful things we can control is our decision to stay or leave a situation that is not suitable for us here. We also refer to relationships. We've all been in that situation where everything in us says this isn't what we deserve, but still we stay. Maybe it's the fear of loneliness, the fear of change, or simply holding on to hope that things will change, that they will get better. But here's the Stoic point. The true power lies in recognizing that staying in a situation that compromises our values is within our control, and we can choose differently. This doesn't mean that at the first sign of trouble we should abandon everything. Relationships require work, commitment, and patience. Mostly, it's about knowing your own worth so deeply that when something goes against it, you're ready to walk away. It's about having that inner strength, that stoic fortitude to say, I value myself enough not to settle for less than I deserve. Let's delve a little deeper into this. Being prepared to walk away is an act of self-affirmation and self-compassion. It implies having clarity and inner strength to recognize when a situation or relationship is not aligned with our fundamental values and our sense of dignity. But let me emphasize that this doesn't need to be a tumultuous or drama-filled process. Often it's a serene and conscious understanding that we deserve something better. Yes, it's true that facing the unknown can generate fear. Uncertainty can be intimidating. However, it's in these challenging moments that we recall the teachings of the Stoics, who urge us to embrace adversity with courage and to accept that life is constantly changing. Recognizing that you have the courage to let go of what no longer serves you is like making room for new opportunities and experiences in your life. It's like clearing the path for personal growth and renewal. It's important to understand that you're not clinging to a situation out of need or fear. You're making the conscious decision to honor your own emotional well-being and happiness. But by having the courage to leave what no longer nourishes you, you're taking a step towards a brighter and more satisfying future. You're saying yes to yourself and to the possibilities that await you beyond the known. Therefore, as we reflect on the idea of being prepared to walk away, let us remember that this act of courage and authenticity allows us to open ourselves to new opportunities and experiences in life. It reminds us that we deserve to live fully and that we have the power to create the kind of life we desire as we savor our coffee and let these reflections sink deeper into our minds. Let us remember that being prepared to walk away does not imply adopting a cold or distant attitude towards others. On the contrary, it's about manifesting self-love and a deep respect for ourselves, empowering us to recognize and uphold our own boundaries and needs by saying, I deserve better. We're not making a derogatory judgment of others, but reaffirming our own worth and dignity. It's about recognizing that we deserve the relationships that respect us and propel us towards personal and emotional growth. By having the courage to walk away from what no longer serves us, we're affirming our self-esteem and honoring our deepest needs in this process of being ready to walk away. We also cultivate the ability to discern what we truly value in our relationships. This allows us to identify harmful or toxic patterns and make decisions that are aligned with our long-term well-being and happiness. Therefore, let us remember that being prepared to walk away is an act of self-love and an expression of our commitment to a full and authentic life. It's a constant reminder that we deserve to be treated with respect and consideration in all our interactions, and that we're willing to defend that right with determination and firmness. 6. The power of no in Stoicism. There is a strong emphasis on personal integrity and the courage to stand up for your principles. This directly applies to our ability to say no in relationships. It's about knowing what you believe in and not being afraid to hold your standards. Consider the scenario where you're in a relationship and your partner suggests something that doesn't feel right to you. It might be moving too fast or compromising your values in some way. The easiest option would be to simply go along. But here's where your inner stoic self must intervene and say no. It's a matter of respecting yourself and your values. I'm not saying this is easy. On the contrary, it can be incredibly difficult, especially when you care about the person. There's always that voice in the back of your head saying, what if this pushes them away? But here's where we must be courageous. Stoicism teaches us about courage. not only to face external challenges, but also to confront internal ones, saying, no is not just about self-respect. It's about showing that you value yourself enough not to settle for less than you deserve. You might lose them. But here's the key. If saying no to something that goes against your value pushes someone away, then maybe they weren't right for you. This approach can truly shift the dynamics of a relationship when someone sees that you're not afraid to say no, that you're not there just to please them at the expense of your own values. Their perspective changes. It shows them that you're someone who respects themselves, someone who values themselves. And here's another Stoic twist: refusing something contrary to our values is not just about setting boundaries with others, it's also about being honest with ourselves. It's about recognizing what you truly want and not compromising on a relationship. It's about not letting the fear of loneliness lead you to make decisions that are not right for you. Delving into this point, saying no is truly an act of authenticity and self-assertion. It allows us to establish healthy boundaries and stay true to our core values. It's a manifestation of living with integrity, just as the Stoics taught us, reminding us of the importance of standing firm in our convictions and acting in accordance with our principles. When we say no, we're honoring our authentic needs and desires, rather than succumbing to external expectations or the demands of others. It's a form of self-care and authenticity by setting clear boundaries and expressing our needs. Honestly, we foster healthier and more meaningful relationships where both we and others are valued and respected for who we truly are. Therefore, let's remember that it's okay to say no. It's an expression of self-love and an important step towards building authentic and satisfying relationships. By embracing our ability to say no when necessary, we position ourselves in a place of personal power and allow ourselves to live with integrity and authenticity in all our interactions. Saying no can be an act of liberation, an affirmation of your own autonomy and dignity. It's the conscious refusal to compromise your values and integrity in the name of convenience or social acceptance. But by exercising this power of no, you're actively shaping the course of your relationships, establishing clear boundaries and protecting your own essence. It's a way of putting yourself first, acknowledging that your emotional and moral well-being is as important as any other consideration. Furthermore, by saying no, respectfully and firmly, you're communicating clear expectations to others and promoting more authentic and transparent communication. This creates an atmosphere of trust and mutual respect, where each party feels free to express their needs and boundaries. Saying no when necessary not only strengthens your own self-esteem but also strengthens relationships, as it establishes a solid foundation of understanding and mutual respect. 7. Healthy skepticism. Skepticism and Stoicism go hand in, and Stoics try to see things as they really are, not as they're expected to be in the realm of love and relationships. You might wonder if this is relevant. We've all heard someone say the words we want to hear, as if they were the right ones and we want to believe them, ignoring the warning signs in the background. This is where our inner Stoic self comes into play. Having a good dose of skepticism is like having a superpower. It doesn't mean you're negative or cynical. It's not about being grounded or not taking everything literally. It's about observing, questioning, and not diving in head first without thinking a bit. Let's set the stage. Imagine this scenario. You meet someone and you think they're great. They're saying all these wonderful things to each other, planning a future together. However, it's only been a few weeks since you met. Your Stoic side would say, take it slow. Don't rush. Let's see if their actions match their words and how things develop. It's like a reality check to remind you not to get lost in romance. This skepticism isn't about bombarding the other person with questions or doubting every move they make. It's more about being mindful, listening to what they say, and also observing what they do. It's about taking the time to really get to know someone, to check if they're consistent and authentic. The Stoics highly valued the use of logic and reason, not just letting themselves be carried away by emotions in relationships. This is crucial. It's true that finding the balance between our emotions and logic can be a challenge in relationships. However, by cultivating a little skepticism, we can give space for our rationality to assess situations more objectively and clearly. By maintaining a certain degree of skepticism, We don't allow ourselves to be swept away by the emotional current of the moment, but make decisions grounded in reality and our authentic needs. This allows us to discern between what is beneficial for us and what could pose a threat or obstacle to our emotional well-being. Furthermore, skepticism offers us the opportunity to protect our hearts from potential disappointments or emotional harm by not rushing into situations without properly evaluating the circumstances, by granting ourselves the necessary space to better understand the other person, their intentions, and their compatibility with our own needs and values. It's not simply about erecting barriers or walls around our heart, but about opening doors cautiously and discerningly. By being a little skeptical, we can stay alert and aware of our emotions while allowing ourselves to explore new connections with a clear mind and protected heart. Embracing imperfections is an essential part of the Stoic philosophy of life, which urges us to tune into the essence of existence flow with the natural rhythms of the universe and accept reality with serenity and acceptance in the context of love. These lessons have deep and transformative relevance by adopting a Stoic perspective. We acknowledge that both we and our loved ones are imperfect beings, subject to the vicissitudes of life and human limitations, instead of seeking perfection in the other or in ourselves. We embrace imperfections as an integral part of the human experience, valuing authenticity over appearance and finding beauty in vulnerability and sincerity. By accepting these imperfections with compassion and understanding, we create space for mutual growth and genuine connection. The practice of acceptance and understanding offers us the opportunity to cultivate solid and meaningful relationships, where genuine connection and mutual support are fundamental mental pillars. Instead of fighting against reality or trying to shape others according to our desires, we learn to adapt and flow with the circumstances that present themselves to us, finding a deep sense of peace and satisfaction in the present moment by practicing acceptance. We recognize and embrace both our own imperfections and those of others, accepting that we're all human beings with limitations, and that it's natural to make mistakes and face challenges in our relationships instead of judging ourselves or others. We allow ourselves to be compassionate and understanding, recognizing that everyone is doing the best they can with the tools and resources available at the moment. This understanding invites us to put ourselves in others' shoes, to empathize with their experiences and struggles, recognizing that each individual has their own story, their own wounds, and their own motivations, and we strive to understand their perspective with compassion and empathy. By doing so, we strengthen the bonds of connection and trust in our relationships, fostering an environment of mutual support and unconditional understanding. The practice of acceptance and understanding allows us to cultivate more authentic and meaningful relationships, where love and connection naturally flourish in an atmosphere of mutual acceptance and respect. By learning to flow with the circumstances and embrace reality as it is, we find a deep sense of satisfaction and fulfillment in our relationships, allowing love to blossom in all its splendor. In summary, Stoicism invites us to embrace reality, as it is finding beauty and meaning in every experience, including loving relationships. By practicing acceptance, understanding, and compassion, we cultivate authentic and deeply satisfying relationships rooted in genuine connection and unconditional mutual support. 8. Don't chase. The principle of not chasing is deeply related to everything we've discussed. Especially when viewed through a Stoic lens. In Stoicism, there's significant emphasis on focusing on what's within our control and letting go of what isn't. This philosophy proves extremely powerful when applied to relationships. It's about understanding that chasing after someone who is pulling away is not only futile, but also not aligned with self-respect and our own value. Imagine this scenario: you're dating someone and everything seems to be going well, but then distance starts to arise. We've all been in similar situations and instinctively desire to chase after the other person in an attempt to fill that gap. However, this is where Stoic lessons come in. The Stoics would say, wait, why chase after something that's not under your control? What happened to your dignity, self-respect, and peace of mind? Chasing after someone who is pulling away is like trying to hold water between your fingers. It's ineffective and leaves you feeling empty. However, the key is in having the courage to let go of what doesn't serve us. Making room for something better, it's like clearing out the clutter to make space for clarity and freshness, though it may be challenging to distance ourselves from what doesn't nourish us. It's an act of self-love and authenticity. The Stoic focus is on standing firm in our own value. If someone is pulling away, let them. It's not about being cold or insensitive, but about recognizing that we can't control another person's feelings or actions. We can only control our response. Let's be honest, it's not easy. It takes a lot of strength to not change, to not give in to that impulse. But it's about trusting that if someone truly wants to be with us, they will be. When we stop chasing, we begin to focus on ourselves, on our own lives, and amazing things happen. We attract people who are drawn to our strength and confidence. It's like we're sending a signal that says, I value myself. Let's be stoic in our approach to relationships, respecting ourselves and focusing on what we can control. It's about finding inner peace, not external validation. We have the power to choose how we react to the world around us. Remember that we are the architects of our own dignity, the guardians of our self-esteem. Embrace that power. Let our actions, choices, and boundaries speak of the amazing person we are. These are some ways to show our worth and recognize that of others. Following Stoic advice through actions, not just words. Remember, courage is not something we say, but something we demonstrate through our actions. By choosing not to chase, we're freeing ourselves from the emotional trap of seeking external validation and recognizing our own self-worth as something intrinsic and unshakable. This requires courage and self-awareness, as it demands that we trust in our own worthiness, regardless of others' responses or behavior towards us. It's an act of personal empowerment where we affirm our own dignity and refuse to seek our validation in external relationships by adopting a non-chasing stance. We're exercising detachment, a skill valued in Stoic philosophy. Detachment allows us to let go of unrealistic expectations and accept reality, as it is enabling us to flow more easily with life's changes and challenges. By relinquishing the need to control the outcome of our relationships, we open up space for greater freedom and inner serenity, living more in harmony with Stoic principles of acceptance and equanimity. Moreover, by choosing not to chase, we're also cultivating an attitude of self-respect and self-love. Instead of subjecting ourselves to the anguish of chasing after someone who is pulling away, we're honoring our own boundaries and emotional needs. We recognize that we deserve to be treated with respect and consideration, and this begins by stepping away from situations that don't value or emotionally nourish us. On the other hand, we're fostering a healthier dynamic in relationships by making room for the other person's freedom and autonomy. We're creating a solid foundation for genuine and meaningful connection. Instead of suffocating our partner with our own expectations and demands, we're allowing them to feel free to be authentic and fully express themselves. This strengthens emotional bonds and contributes to a more balanced and harmonious relationship. Ultimately, by practicing non-chasing, we're also honoring each individual's personal journey. We recognize that everyone has their own pace of growth and development, and we respect each person's right to follow their own path. This allows us to cultivate greater compassion and empathy for others, as well as freeing us from the pressure of trying to control the course of relationships instead. We trust in life's natural process and open ourselves up to opportunities for growth and learning that arise along the way. 9. Unconditional love. Unconditional love is a fundamental concept in Stoic philosophy, going beyond simply loving others without expecting anything in return. It involves recognizing and valuing the intrinsic worth of each human being, regardless of their actions, achievements, or circumstances. By practicing unconditional love for ourselves, we commit to accepting and valuing who we are with all our virtues and flaws. This entails cultivating a relationship of compassion and acceptance for ourselves, freeing ourselves from excessive self-criticism and negative judgment. Furthermore, unconditional love for others goes beyond simply showing empathy and compassion for their experiences and struggles. It also means accepting people as they are without trying to change them or judge them for their actions or decisions. Being there for others in their times of need involves much more than simply offering a shoulder to cry on. It's about cultivating a genuine and deep connection with those around us, meaning being willing to actively listen to them, understand their concerns and fears, and offer the necessary support, even if it means stepping out of our comfort zone. By practicing this kind of unconditional support, we not only demonstrate our empathy and compassion for others but also strengthen our own relationships by committing to being there for each other in their times of need. We're building lasting bonds based on mutual respect and trust. It's important to remember that unconditional support isn't limited to times of crisis. It also involves being there to celebrate the triumphs and achievements of others, sharing in their joy and celebrating their successes. It's a demonstration of solidarity and camaraderie that further strengthens our bonds with those around us. A fundamental practice of unconditional love is learning to forgive and let go of resentment or bitterness towards those who have hurt or disappointed us. This involves recognizing our own humanity and that of others, understanding that we all make mistakes and face challenges in life. Forgiveness doesn't mean justifying the actions of others or ignoring the harm they've caused us. On the contrary, it's about freeing ourselves from the emotional burden that comes with holding on to resentment and allowing ourselves to move forward with compassion and inner peace. By practicing unconditional love and forgiveness, we not only strengthen our relationships with others but also grow and evolve as individuals. By choosing to forgive and love unconditionally, we opt to free ourselves from the weight of resentment and bitterness, making space for significant personal growth. Unconditional love invites us to accept others as they are with all their imperfections and flaws, recognizing their intrinsic value as human beings. This challenges us to show compassion and empathy towards them even when they've hurt or disappointed us, and to remain open to the possibility of deeper reconciliation and understanding. Furthermore, forgiveness allows us to release the past and move forward with more clarity and inner peace, leaving behind resentment and rancor, making space for personal growth and emotional healing. It allows us to close painful chapters and open ourselves to new experiences and opportunities for love and genuine connection. In short, practicing unconditional love and forgiveness allows us to build healthier and more meaningful relationships based on mutual acceptance, respect, and personal growth, offering us the opportunity to experience a deeper and more enriching connection with ourselves and others, and to live a fuller and more satisfying life. 10. Don't completely center your life around another person in today's society. We often fall into the trap of putting others on a pedestal, losing our own direction in love. By forging your own path, you'll see how you become more valuable. No one can harm you without your consent. Don't let others control you. This powerful quote is a reminder that ultimately we are the guardians of our inner peace and emotional well-being in a world where critical opinions and external judgments can be omnipresent. It's essential to understand that we have the power to choose how they affect us. Owning our minds and emotions is a call to self-reflection and authenticity, to be who we are without fear of external judgment. When we internalize this Stoic principle, we become masters of our own destiny, and our self-esteem and self-respect flourish, making us more valuable and important to others. Therefore, when facing challenges and criticism in our lives, let's remember this powerful truth from Marcus Aurelius: no one can harm you without your consent. This philosophy reminds us of the importance of staying true to what we consider right, and just even in the context of an intimate relationship. When we apply this concept to our romantic relationships, it means ensuring that the relationship aligns with our deepest values and principles. This involves reflecting on what those values are for us and how they manifest in our daily lives and in our relationship. For example, if we value honesty and trust, it's crucial that our relationship is based on transparency and open communication. Similarly, if we value mutual respect and equality, we must ensure that our interactions with our partner reflect these principles. Making decisions based on our values also means being true to ourselves. Even when we face challenges or external pressures in the relationship, this may involve making difficult decisions, such as establishing healthy boundaries or ending a relationship that doesn't meet our ethical standards. When we commit to living according to our values in a romantic relationship, we're laying the groundwork for a meaningful and lasting connection. This commitment not only strengthens our own personal integrity, but also contributes to cultivating an environment of trust, respect, and mutual growth in the relationship. Aligning our actions and decisions with our values allows us to act consistently with what we consider important in life and in our interactions with our partner. For example, if we value loyalty, we'll strive to be faithful and trustworthy in our relationship. If we value generosity, we'll seek ways to support and care for our partner selflessly. This congruence between our values and our actions creates a sense of authenticity and sincerity in the relationship, where our partner perceives us as individuals of integrity and trustworthiness, strengthening the bond of trust between us. Furthermore, acting in accordance with our values inspires our partner to do the same, promoting mutual growth and deeper understanding between both parties. Living according to our values also helps us overcome the challenges and conflicts that may arise in the relationship. When we're faced with difficult situations, we can turn to our values as a guide to make ethical and constructive decisions, allowing us to resolve issues in a respectful and constructive way, rather than compromising our principles or acting impulsively. Ultimately, living according to our values in a romantic relationship not only promotes our own happiness and well-being, but also enriches the connection with our partner by building together on a foundation of integrity and mutual respect. We can create a solid and satisfying relationship that endures over time. 11. Virtue. Practicing virtue in a romantic relationship involves much more than simply acting with honesty, loyalty, compassion, and respect towards our partner. It's about committing to being the best versions of ourselves in every aspect of our shared life. Virtue invites us to deepen honesty, which goes beyond transparency and communication. It means being authentic in our interactions, showing up as we are with our virtues and areas for improvement. By doing so, we foster an environment of mutual trust where both can grow and develop freely. Loyalty in a virtuous relationship involves not only emotional and physical fidelity, but also a lasting commitment to supporting and being present for our partner in all circumstances. It's about being there in tough times, offering a shoulder to lean on and a hand to overcome challenges together. Compassion as part of virtue calls us to put ourselves in our partner's shoes, understanding their perspectives and being empathetic to their experiences and emotions in a relationship based on mutual respect and virtue. A climate of trust and mutual support is promoted. This means not only recognizing our partner's value as an individual, but also promoting their personal and professional growth. It's about actively listening to their opinions and concerns, seeking to understand their point of view, and collaborating on decisions that benefit both. Moreover, it involves expressing gratitude and appreciation for our partners' contributions and efforts, thereby strengthening the emotional bond and connection between both. Ultimately, respect in a virtuous relationship is the foundation upon which a solid and satisfying partnership is built, where love and understanding flourish. In summary, practicing virtue in a romantic relationship is committing to living according to the highest moral and ethical principles, cultivating an environment of honesty, loyalty, compassion, and mutual respect, thus establishing the groundwork for an authentic and lasting connection. Allowing others to invest in you is recognizing your uniqueness and worth. It's not just about your presence in someone else's life, but about becoming a significant and essential element in their world. This acknowledgement entails understanding that what is easily obtained tends to be undervalued or little appreciated. True appreciation arises from effort and dedication. When someone invests their time, emotions, and energy into your life, a stronger and longer-lasting bond is created. This process transforms your role from being a fleeting curiosity to becoming a genuinely appreciated presence. It's not about desperately seeking attention or love from others, but demonstrating that you are a valuable and enriching contribution to their lives, deserving of genuine and authentic interest. Allowing others to invest in you involves giving them the opportunity to turn your presence into an invaluable aspect of their lives, something they wouldn't want to lose. The words of the Stoic philosopher Seneca resonate with this idea. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. The essence of your value doesn't just lie in being, but in being sought after and earned. Reflecting on the story of Alexander the Great and his teacher Aristotle illustrates how the value of valuable teaching and the relationship between teacher and student transcend the conventional Aristotle. A wise philosopher was not only a tutor in the young prince's life, but also a beacon of knowledge and essential strategic thinking for governing an empire. Alexander, known for his ambition and intellect, understood the value of Aristotle's teachings and dedicated considerable time and effort to learn them. In summary, throughout this video, we have explored 11 fundamental principles for building healthy and meaningful relationships. We have learned that unconditional love, inspired by Stoic philosophy, teaches us to let go of control over what we cannot change, cultivating inner peace and authenticity. Furthermore, by living according to our values, we strengthen not only our own integrity, but also inspire our partner to do the same, promoting mutual growth and deeper understanding. Allowing others to invest in us, recognizing our uniqueness and worth, creates bonds of trust and respect, enriching the shared journey. Practicing virtue in a romantic relationship goes beyond honesty and loyalty, involving a commitment to personal growth and mutual support, strengthening the foundations of lasting connection. Lastly, by adopting a Stoic approach, we learn to find balance, face challenges calmly, and cultivate an intrinsic connection with ourselves, thereby creating relationships that are authentic, enriching, and meaningful. These principles not only shape our interactions with others but also empower us to be architects of our own happiness and personal fulfillment. By applying them in our daily lives, we can transform not only our relationships but also ourselves towards a fuller and more rewarding life. Always remember that true growth comes from constant reflection and diligent practice of these principles, thus creating a path to a more authentic and meaningful existence. As we conclude our journey, I would like to express my gratitude for your company and dedication throughout this video. I sincerely hope that the reflections and insights shared here have been enriching and inspiring for you, providing true personal growth and a new perspective on relationships. It's essential to remember that relationships are a continuous journey of learning and evolution, where each experience, whether challenging or rewarding, contributes to our maturation and development. If you've watched until now, I'd like to invite you to share in the comments, "I am ready to apply these principles in my life." This interaction will allow us to further strengthen our connection and reinforce mutual commitment to personal and interpersonal growth. May you incorporate these valuable principles into your daily routine, nurturing authentic and meaningful relationships and living with fullness and purpose in every moment. Thank you once again for your presence, and until our next video,